listen close. Every word I spoke was always meant for you. Yeah. Yeah. I stepped down from a throne of light, born of Judah in the dead of night. Perfect walk, yeah, I kept it clean. Every law, every commandment seen. I healed your wounds, I spoke your name. They hated truth, I took the blame. Taught you how to live God's way. Called you back when you strayed. Son of God, still flesh and bone. Crown and thorns, still sat on the throne. I laid my life down willingly, so my people could finally breathe. I saw you scattered, torn apart, still engraved on the Father's heart. Every lash, every sacrifice was me paying Israel's price. I was talking to you when I said God love the world, that truth. I gave my life, yeah, that was proof. Israel, I was talking to you. Israel, I was talking to you. I didn't come for every land. I came to free you from the hands, from your enemies, from oppression to Israel. I was talking to you. They flipped the script, they changed the frame, tried to erase your blood and name. But I know who I was sent to save. Lost sheep, walking foreign ways. 12 tribes scattered worldwide. Still hear my voice when I call you mine. I brought repentance, wiped your sin, forgave your sins, seal your fate. Some say they Jews, but they ain't true. Time gon' show who I really knew. Every nation will bow and know my truth, that I have only ever loved you. Hold your head, don't lose your faith. I'm right on time, I don't show late. Every promise still intact. Ain't nothing I won't bring back. I was talking to you, John 3:16, yeah, that was you. Every word that I ever knew was spoken straight to Israel. I was sent for you alone, from captivity to the throne. I never loved another same. Israel, remember your name. New Jerusalem, coming down. Holy city, righteous crown. 12 gates standing side by side. Every tribe named carved inside. No more fear, no more tears, no more chains from former years. What was stolen, I restore. You won't be low no more. Those who ruled you unjustly before will recognize what I ordained. Yeah, order restored, balance made. My people honor no more shame. I scatter you, but I never let go. I marked your mind before the world said no. I'm coming back to gather you from every nation, every view, bring you home where you belong. Israel, stay strong. Heaven's promise never fail. I know you well. Stand firm, Israel. Your king still walks with you. And what I promise, I will finish.
Hallelujah. Hey, don't be taken back by what you see, man.
Ride 88.
Be obedient. Trust in the Lord. Embrace the Spirit. Hey, we need you to scrubs. It's easier than you think. Iron sharpens iron. It only take a few good brothers. Let's get it. It's the mush. Gotta apply it. Body script. Well, how let you fall? Let's be for real, know how you feel. Some of that odds can leave you with a bad taste. You know the fruits of the spirit, you lay it all out, tell me how. When I was in the trap, first time your fool heard about the truth. Blowing gas, laughing like these boys and fools. Sad, bad, look at that, homie, proof. Bad with it, but it's still move. My spirit bear witness. Needless to say, your folk was a dude. Went do it like Joe, they double up. Took away the cigarettes, relieved all the stress. The point of the story, don't let what you're going through cause disobedience. Pray I'm ready for the ones allotted to. What you going through, y'all let me help you. I know you might not think you where you wanna be. Let me help you with it, we'll get where we wanna be. Hey God, I admit myself that I ain't for real. Pray I'm in the spirit, bro, that's it. Hey, I know you might not think bro, that's it. Hey, y'all talk, no cap, bro, let's get it. Don't let that stop you from uniting. Let's do it, bro, don't let nothing hold you back. It's time right now. All praise to the Most High. Now you know who you is. Now you know where you're from. Now you know why you come. Now you know who salvation for. Now you know they about to be hating more. Now you know temptation come. Yeah, man, go for testimony. Rock 1-1. Translated in another tongue, the word loses time. So we say Kala, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Kwame Yashara, Rakatashi. Y'all can come in it. So you sitting in line. You're renewing your heart, you're renewing your mind. I know you might not think you where you wanna be. Let me help you with it. We'll get you. I admit myself that I ain't there. You pray I'm in the spirit, bro. That's real. I know you might not think you where you wanna. Pray we stay in the spirit, bro, that's it. Hey, y'all admit it, don't let that stop you from uniting.
Must go get it. In time. Got a call from the Arcanal like we overdue, rock, we gotta work. So you know I had to drop a verse. Guard your light and put the Father first. Luke 11 verse 10, truth ain't hard to find, you just gotta search. My ox used to be members, now they members of the body. Who gon' stop the church? We ain't quite where we wanna be, but we doing a little better. Remember I was on the streets doing freestyles trying to warn the sheep. And them nights cold, couldn't go to sleep, that's facts. Flesh was saying give up, you should wait till you get on your feet. Holy Spirit said something different. Look, you gotta start somewhere. Ain't the kingdom where you wanna be. Have faith, that's substance. There's some things you ain't gonna see. Jacob go and tell the lost tribes that we got a king and he hold the keys. On the last day I pray let us in, wipe away our tears and we never leave. I know you might not be where you wanna be, but if you have not and ask not, you never gonna receive. I pray we get on one accord with it, never forfeit it. If you want a crown, must go and get it.
I know you might not think you where you wanna be. I pray we stay in the spirit, bro, that's it. Hey, I'll admit it, I ain't. Don't let that stop you from uniting.
With all things exquisite, expensive taste and higher end living. Always knew that I would get here. Let's toast to the life of excellence, like oh, different views on this level. Yeah.
Yeah, I got different views since I done came in this truth. Yeah, I got different views, that's why I jumped in the booth. I'm a Jew, you could tell by much more than my hue. Got the elegance of a duke, aristocrat is the move. I exist amongst gods, giving earth living food. A prince of the power of God, soon they'll see the roof. I dived in the book, came out with wisdom and truth. I learned to spit it real smooth through the ways of YouTube. Blessed are the feet of them that decided to teach. Blessed be his voice, the way it right on this beat, counting sheep. Every one of them that go out and preach. After they heard the word, the spirit decided to keep in the street. While they preaching to the chosen and meek, but not peace. What we saying make you wake up from sleep, it gets deep. With this type of shit you cannot be weak. Cause if you weak, you can wake up in the hands of the thief. Different view.
Connoisseur with all things exquisite, expensive taste and higher end living. Always knew that I would get here. Let's toast to the life of excellence, like oh, different views on this level. Yeah.
Yo, it's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been in the booth, but I told you I wasn't finished. I promise on the mic I can still put on the clinic. Eternally one of the 12 princes. You see these fringes? Since I was a youngin', I always feel like a judge. Born an aristocrat, royalties in my blood. Still the prodigy, known as Easy Money the Prince. Just walk with a new light, the kind that you can't dim. I told niggas I'm back and we shooting above the rim. The flow of Cash Money shot, I showed you I got the print. Ain't been in the booth since I was 17 years old. Suckers thought I fell off, now I've been getting dope. Been sitting back, out here working on my glow. Bruise rocking, big chains, Rolex watches for show. Expensive garments, lilies not crosses. If you come through, baby, please be cautious.
Connoisseur with all things exquisite, expensive taste and higher end living. Always knew that I would get here. Let's toast to the life of excellence, like oh,
your vibe. Thinking about my people, it seems they all blind. They thinking they know the truth, but no, not up to 12. Try. Some say we a nation that's built up on tribulation. Some say we was taken and put in this situation. I say honestly, man, it's a little bit of both. Just take it from a nigga who parents native and Haitian. White folks stole my people's land, but we gon' take it back, cause the most I put the power in our hands. Yeah, we going straight reprimand, cause the people did us dirty and never got punished. From here to France, they out here preaching peace, but to us ain't none given. Convince us to protest, but disregard how we living. Well, soon y'all gon' know how we feeling. Yeah, how is Shy's coming back to prove to you that you ain't been forgiven. I'ma break it to you now that with this joint ain't no hook. The aristocrats on the mic pushing them words like a book. I'm anointed and I'm a saint and I got these niggas shook. I'm a Dan, I prince of the power and I can't be forsook. I think it's unfortunate that y'all couldn't face the facts. You so confused, you can't seem to break down Romans and Acts. When I teach, y'all got me losing all of my patience. Hear the word Israelite and then it turns to Galatians. Honestly, y'all need to do some investigating. My people acknowledge but still fighting for education. Broke them shackles off of my mind and set me free. Now, Father, y'all got me thinking immortal relation. Try and wake y'all up, but you suckers being complacent. Shot that nigga in the street, but how you grew up's adjacent. Take a nigga life for a little bit of wealth just to spend that shit and move back into your mama's basement. Now you become a Muslim so that your life don't get taken. Boy, assalamu alaikum, bean pies, green eggs and bacon. Allah just a title, not the name of the Most High. You a Israelite, soon to be seeing revelation. Hey, now they saying the prince is lyrical. I'm ruling this thing, but it ain't nothing empirical. Yeah, how was I sent the comforter, got me feeling spiritual. Yasha Allah on the rise, I ain't even hit the pinnacle. Hey, y'all know ain't too many better than I start varsity on this mic, I even got a letterman. Skills, concrete, solid, I ain't talking settlement. Reppin' the anointed house, man, you know we killing it. Hey, this time around, y'all better get a ticket. This youngin' hit a bomb like the 96 Olympics. Mess with the man of the Lord, might end up in the clinic. We taking the kingdom soon, 1 hour, 0 minutes.
Hey y'all, what's up? Nadia, let me know if you can hear me real quick, brother. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
All right, bet. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. Shalom, shalom. Hope everybody's having a good night. Today we're gonna have on a special guest, brother named Ariel, I believe is how he pronounces it. Yeah, we're just gonna ask him a couple of questions. It's gonna be nothing combative or anything like that. It's not what this is about. I asked brother come on and have a conversation with us, just so we kind of figure out what he's about. You might have seen him on the Captain Tazariak / Side Netter video that they had. I watched a little bit of it, but certain things he said made me want to talk to him, have a conversation. So yeah, here we are. I know a lot of y'all gonna see it later. So when y'all do come in the building, like the video, the water, Toda, and yeah, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna get right into it. So I want to start by giving all praise unto the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, who the world, in the name of the Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and bring the brother on. I don't want to spend too much time. Shalom to everybody that's coming in the building. I know we typically shout y'all out, but we've had him waiting in the back room for a minute, and he's 7 hours ahead of us, so I don't want to keep him waiting any longer. All right. So, all right, good brother. Appreciate you for coming on, man.
I appreciate you for having me. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, brother. And good night to everybody here. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess we could start by I don't really have any like list of particular questions. I'm just gonna kind of go off the dome. So I guess kind of tell us a little bit about yourself for the people that didn't see that video with Cap. Sarnet is kind of loud, and a lot of my people don't really watch him. The people that associated with me in the camps I've been with. So a lot of them probably didn't even see the video. You know what I'm saying? So if you would go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. So my name is Ariel Yaniv Haor. Originally from Detroit, Michigan. Been living in Jerusalem for almost 11 years. I came here in pursuit of religious education and also to make sure that I was going about worship the right way. And I did find out through a lot of, I guess you would call it hashgate pratit, or through serendipitous situations, that my family has been X generations removed from this land. And I have returned and reconnected and centered myself in this place of learning, and my life is better for it.
All praises for that. Okay. Do you know what sect of the ancient people that you come from, a tribe even specifically, or anything like that?
Well, the tribe I'm going to keep to myself, but the area
Okay.
of the world that my family's practice comes from is adjacent from the Arabic Peninsula.
Okay. So would it be like a Yemenite or something close to it or something like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's what's up. Okay. Still doesn't typically define the tribe, but lets people know exactly the like kind of the group that you come from. So that's smooth. I don't think we've had a Yemenite Jew on the channel before, so that's actually nice. We've taught that there are so-called black Yemenite Jews, you know what I'm saying? So it's nice to actually meet one. So shalom to you, brother.
Thank you.
Um, but just so you know a little bit about me, I'm Eliel. I came into the awakening that my family actually comes from the tribe of Dan through my grandfather, and certain things that he had found. He knew an Israelite brother. I don't know much about that dude, but allegedly he had a friend that was an Israelite that uh, gave him a 1611 King James Bible. And from there, he started doing research and, found out that we actually go back to Dan. So, not the tribes that you hear most Israelites speak of, but I have historical proof based on different migration patterns from where Dan was known to be at. And I have a family that basically traces themselves back to those people. So, yeah, I came into the truth as an Israelite, if you will, in 2016. That's when I started worshiping differently. Before that, I had a Christian background. My family were Christians. We stopped going to the church after the church we went to made us watch that movie with Mel Gibson. I forget what it's called.
The passion.
Christ. Yeah. So um, after they made us watch that, my family didn't really like it based on the description that they read in the Bible, the book of Daniel and the book of Revelations. They always taught me about that and stuff like that. So the fact that they made the whole church watch it and subscribe to a certain image of Christ, they didn't like that. So they left it alone. And after that, I guess I started doing my own research, and that's how I came across the Israelites, and then found out I was one later on when I was in college after doing some research. So, yeah, that's basically a little bit about me. So, but I guess questions I wanted to ask. What exactly made you want to move to Israel to do your research?
Well, the simple fact is that everything that you research needs to have a showish and a makor. So it needs to have a root, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the root of my study and my existence is the land of Israel. And there's no other people that I know of personally that have been convinced by popular opinion that they should not return to their place of origin. So be it that I had the opportunity, I took upon it, and I never looked back.
Okay, that's what's up. Um, you currently live in Israel, right? You're not just like
Yes.
someone. Okay, cool. All
No,
right,
I'm here
that's
right
it.
now. I'm in a community called the Wamat Shlomo,
Okay.
and we're getting ready to leave in about probably 25 minutes. So I'm just
All right, yeah,
out
that's cool.
waiting for the rest of my people to come before we
That's
all,
what's up.
go on our
Yeah.
way.
Okay. As far as your studies, are you like uh I guess I don't know what the proper terminology is yet, but would you be like somebody that's trying to become a rabbi at some point? Or
I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm in the process of studying, and where those studies do take me, I'll have to decide um, as I mature in my studies. So,
cool.
most
Okay.
people study for the sake of limud Torah, which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And we'll see where it goes. Hopefully, If everything goes well, I'll become a mohel, which is the person that
I'm
does
more.
the
Yeah. Okay.
a person
Yeah.
who does the ritualistic circumcision for the child.
Con. Dang. So I bet. I like that. That's smooth. I actually, I plan to take a trip to Israel. Me and my fiance plan on going soon. So when I do, I wanted to talk to them about taking up residency there too and stuff like that. But one of the things I want to talk to you about, right? Two questions. Um, do you know any of the Israelites in Demona?
Do I know them personally? No, I don't. But I have had my dealings with them in the 10 years of me living here.
Okay. Have they been like bad dealings or for the most part good or what?
For the most part, good, but theology wise, it's all just been, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, piss poor.
Theology wise, we don't really agree with them either on a lot of things. Um, I'll just leave that there because some of them know me. So, but yeah. But we have had. There's a guy named Dana Stevens. He's in America what we call a white guy, but he is somebody that's I guess really close to them, and we've had him on before as well. Had a couple conversations with him. I'm pretty cool with him and stuff. So, but yeah. So he's a dude that I guess he did research and found out that so-called black people in America could be Israelites, depending on where they come from and everything like that. And he's written a couple books about it and stuff. So we had him on the channel to talk about what his research found and all that type of stuff. So, but another question I have, since you said that you have had run-ins with them and stuff like that, you already mentioned the theology thing, so we agree on that point. Uh, Aside from the people in Demona, how do regular Jewish people treat you out there? Has it been like a um is it typical to like America where like there's a little bit of racism, or have they like accepted you as a Jew or a person living in the land, at least at the very least?
Well, to start off, I always got to tell people I never like this question because it always indicates some level of disparity wherever Black people may be. So the question of how they treat you, I believe, should be a misnomer, or not a misnomer, but should be discounted anywhere you go. Because it's not about how people treat you; it's about how you treat yourself. I mean, other people be damned. We live
I
in a
feel you.
world where there's a lot. We live in a world where there's a lot of people who just choose to be, you know, bad people. And if the question is about racism, of course I've had racial dealings out here because racism is a part of the human condition, and the citizens of Israel, be they Muslim, Jewish, Baha'i, Hindi, be they from Thailand or wherever, are no exception.
So I'm glad you said that too, because that was going to be one of my questions. So you acknowledge that there's not just because a lot of my viewers, they've never been to Israel. Some of them probably don't even have a passport. So you being somebody that lives there, you can attest to there's not just quote unquote white Jewish people that live there. There's a bunch of different people that live in Israel, right?
Right. To be Israeli means that you've come to the country, applied for citizenship, and that they let you in. You could be a Chinese Buddhist. And if you pass immigration, then you get in. As a matter of fact, there's actually a lot of Chinese people that are here who are part of our labor force in the building of our buildings, and also people from India as well.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I know, well, I didn't know much about the Chinese, but I know the Indians specifically, they go to places like Israel and even other places in the Middle East, you know what I'm saying? They do a lot of work. They're like the Mexicans here in America. They work for lower
Right.
wages and stuff like that. So they use them for labor to build buildings and stuff like that. So yeah, that's crazy. So that's just something for y'all too, just so y'all know, because that was gonna be a question. So I wanted y'all to know that, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of us get the misconception that it's only Jewish people that live in Israel, you know what I'm saying? So if you go there, you might have this experience where, you feel like you're in a white town in America. And it wouldn't really feel like that as much because there's a lot of different people there, you know what I'm saying? And as you see, there's brothers like this too that have moved to Israel and stuff like that. So you can also attest that you're not the only black person that's not from Demona that lives there, right?
Very, yes, true, very true. Because we have to remember that there's 30,000 African Americans that have been coming to this country since the 1950s. A majority of them are Protestant Christians, but there's a very small percentage of them that are actually halakhically Jewish.
Okay, there you go. So that's there you go. So for anybody that thought it was weird for people to be for black people, you know what I'm saying, even Hispanic people, if they go over there to be, Jewish, to wear the yarmulke, all that type of stuff. It's not really as weird as you think. And I say that because I've been with Chief Ephraim and the servants for Tabernacles, right? Every year except 2023, and when we was with SOT. Uh, but we were doing Tabernacles of the Feast of Booths with Old Testament Israelites. So we were in Sparta, Georgia. It's a black town, black mayor, black, you know, uh, community people, community workers, black police, black sheriff. It's a black town. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Okay.
1% white, and it was all these so-called black people that were Jewish. You know what I'm saying? They were dressed up in what they would call, what regular Israelites in this community would call like Jewish attire, right? So
Right.
they had shawls, they had yarmulkes, they had tzitzit. We wear tzitzits. So, but it's like, I don't know. They make it seem like it's weird for us to dress like that instead of dress like this with the fringes and stuff like that, when it's all Israelite, or it's attire of the land, if you will. So,
That's debatable. I'm not gonna lie to you.
well, I'm not saying as far as like whether you agree this is. I'm talking more so the attire that the yarmulke and the zit in the shawl. You would agree that
Understood.
that would be like attire of the land, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So not so much what we wear. I know that's debatable and stuff like that, but yeah, some of us have the other stuff too. I have a shawl. I have a couple of them. Don't have a yarmulke, but I have a diadem. So yeah, but that's how we kind of get down and stuff like that. And of course, a lot of us wear garments where we have fringes on them as well. So this one goes down to the foot. It's not like a t-shirt or something like that. So, but yeah. So I guess another thing I wanted to know, since we kind of got those like questions out the way as far as the place and the people around you and stuff like that. Um, what part of Israel do you live in? You live in a part that is like secluded, kind of how like the Demona people is, where it's like a group of like black people and maybe some surrounding people around them that might be, you know, the regular Jewish population, but or do you live in like a place with multiple different races and stuff like that, or at least just Jewish people?
I live in a place where it's all different types of people, but a majority of the people that are around me are Haredi, like myself.
Okay.
And I don't know if you heard it, but the call to prayer for the Muslims just went off.
Yeah.
That's because there's a Arab town that's about 2 kilometers behind us.
Okay. That's what's up. So there's even Arabs close by. That's I didn't think they'd be that close. So there's
Yeah.
like no like segregation or divide between the I don't know if they're all Palestinians, but Arabs and Muslims and Jewish people in Israel.
Well, that depends because if you live in, like, I work in the area called Yehuda V'Shomron, or what the world calls the West Bank,
Uh
and excuse me, after the Oslo Accords, a lot of them decided that they did not want to be a part of Israel proper, and they decided, excuse me, and they
you
decided to
good?
self-segregate. So they live in places that I cannot go, and in the event that I do go there, I will pay for it with the forfeiture of my life. And there are signs that are they're big red signs with white letters, so you can't miss it. And it's written in Hebrew, in English, and in Arabic that says that if you come in here and you're not a resident of this town, then you essentially are subject to the townspeople, and that the police will not come and help you.
Wow. Okay. And it's just residents of that town, so it can't be like a resident of Israel. It's just that specific town.
No, no, if you go in there, they'll kill you.
Damn, that's crazy. Okay. All right. Hmm. There you go. Okay. Another question. What's your mentality on like the camps?
It's a social club.
Okay. Do you think there's any legitimacy to so-called black people, or even Hispanic and Native American people being Israelites at all?
I mean, there is legitimacy to it because, of course, Jews are people of the diaspora. But of course, if one happens to come within that recognition, that's something that needs to be completely sussed out internally? Is this something I'm identifying with because it's something that I feel fits my social paradigm, or is it something that I believe to be true? Is it something that is of the misolet or the tradition of my family that might have been lost or with or held on to, that I've been separated from X amount of generations? Or is it
Mm.
just how I feel? Because if it's something that you feel and you act upon it as if it's truth, you're essentially lying to yourself. So if somebody were to say, "Oh, one day I recognized that I was an Israelite, but I live in a town where there's a Beth Din, or a house of judges that is ran by Jewish community," and I didn't go and speak to them and say, "Hey, look, I am such and such. My family had this connection, or I feel X, Y, and Z," and I didn't take their instructions and I decided to do it myself, then you just go on your own way, and that has turned out to be a negative for a lot of people in our community. When I say our community, I mean the Black community in the United States.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so let me ask you this: Do you, before I get into my next question, do you feel that the so-called white Jews in Israel and around the world are legitimately, uh, well, I'll say all of them. Do you feel all of them, or the majority of them, are legitimately Jews?
How do you identify? Because I understand you're using white Jews as a colloquial term, but that's oxymoronic because in our culture, there's no white Jews, there's no Black Jews. It's just a Jew.
Okay, so let me
But
say Jews from primarily from Russia, Poland, uh, Prussia, Ukraine, Yugoslavia, those places primarily.
yeah, I have no reason to believe that they're not Jews. I mean, they're no different than uh, myself, or a Jew from Tanzania, or a Jew from Uganda. They're no different. The
Because
practice,
of the
the
well,
way
let me
that they
say
practice it may be
ethnically
different.
then, because I think, like, I guess ethnically true. Do you think it's an ethnical uh like when it comes
No,
to ethnicity? Do you think that
no,
all
because
of them
we're
could
all
ethnically
we're all
be Israelites?
of course, all of us are from the same root. All of us is from the same family. Because you have to remember, we're diaspora, just like the African diaspora, the Asian diaspora.
Okay. So the reason I asked specifically about that region, right, is because have you heard of the story of King Bulan? This is a documented like historical fact of
Yeah,
King Bulan and his mass conversion of all the people that he was ruling to Judaism.
yes, that came from a book called the
The
Kuzari,
third,
and a lot of people that like to point to that work have never read that work, and they only familiarize themselves with it for the sake of an argument. And also, what they do is they discount the fact or the weight, even if they all are converts, which is fine. They discount the weight that conversion has within Jewish culture. As a matter of fact, when we left Egypt, we went to the desert, and we left Egypt in 1313 BCE on the secular calendar, which is 2445 on the Jewish calendar. And we had to circumcise ourselves. Once we got to the Sinai Peninsula, we had to purify ourselves. And also, we stood before God and we said, "What you said we will do." That's a conversion process. The circumcision for the male, the immersing in a mikveh, a moving body of water, and also the acceptance of your responsibilities and duties by a Beth Din. But there was no need for a Beth Din because we received the instruction and the permission from God Almighty Himself.
so let me ask you this. But wasn't that because the according to the Torah, the mixed multitude was only told to do what they were told to do due to them being with the Israelites. So it was a specific bloodline that was given that law, that was told to do the things that the Most High asked them to do, that decided to do those things in which partaking and getting a covenant with Him. So would you
Correct.
agree that that was a bloodline to start with, a specific people? It wasn't like just open for anybody to do. If you weren't of the mixed
Well,
multitude, you couldn't be a person not of Israelite descent and partake in the law at that time.
the mixed multitude were people who left from Egypt just because they were, for lack of a better term, teamers. They saw that we won, that God had fought for us and was successful, and they said, "Oh, I want to leave with these people." But they had absolutely no intent to be Torah observant in any way, shape, or form.
Right, which is why they lived as slaves in the land with us when they got there. If any of them stayed and didn't die on their way there, those that stayed, according to the Torah, they became slaves. We were able to sell them. We were able to, you know, give them back and forth. They were able to stay within our family for generations, all that type of different stuff. And there's laws on how we were supposed to deal with them. So I do agree with that. But what I'm saying is like for the people that since it's a bloodline type thing, right? Because you kind of said earlier, paraphrasing, that them being converts, you know, the weight of them converting was basically the same as what happened to the Israelites when it came to, you know, what happened on Mount Sinai with Moses. But I don't really think that's the same because it was a specific people that was quote unquote converting. So this people was supposed to have a bloodline that then taught these laws that they converted to keeping and went into a covenant to keep to their children according to the Torah, and you know even the people that they had living with them. Right? Everybody was supposed to observe the Sabbath. Everybody was supposed to, you know, keep the law. Everybody was supposed to dress a certain way and all these different things. Just for you being within the vicinity of us. So what I'm saying is, if you are past that generation and then you come later and convert, you're not the people that that promise was given to, because it is a promise according to the Torah for that land to be given to the specific people. Wouldn't that in turn mean that those people are like taking something that isn't theirs?
No, because there's nothing for them to take. It's something that they can take part in, but they have to go through the proper procedures. And once those proper procedures
But
are completed, then
no, I'm sorry.
can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah,
Once
my bad.
those proper procedures are completed, then they'll be allotted to do what they're allowed to do. But there are
Okay,
certain things, but there are, like, for instance, a person who is a convert can never be king. And that's because that's a divine mandate. Is it
right.
because that person is a stranger? Is it because they're foreign born? Is it because, no, we don't know what the reason is, and you know what? We don't question the reason. We just do what God tells us to do. And God says that you are not allowed to put a convert on the throne.
Okay. So this is what I'm asking though, right? So because I don't know if you know anything about the Balfour Declaration and how Israel became a thing, because I've heard from my elders that go every single year, some of which that live there too, not in Demona, but um, they have expressed to me that there's certain things you're not allowed to talk about in Israel.
That's
So
not true.
when it comes to the
That's not true.
Balfour
That's not true at all. Just to let you know.
okay, well that's good. Well, when it comes, do you know about the Balfour Declaration then?
I'm aware of the Balfour
Chaim
Declaration,
Weizmann and all those people.
but what a lot of people have the tendency to forget, and I say they willfully forget it, is that the Balfour Declaration is not our Declaration of Independence. It's just the
I
British
wasn't
saying,
considering it a
"Hey,
Declaration of Independence, period. I was looking at it more so as the way that they got the land. That's what I'm talking about. So,
I mean, well, we got the land because we fought for it, and also because we purchased a lot of it."
so have you read the Balfour Declaration? Because I could pull it up. I have it. I'm a historian, just so you know. That's my background.
Okay,
So I could pull up the Balfour Declaration and I could show it to you because I've done multiple classes on this. I like knowing like the back of my hand. So in 1800s, there was a family called the Weizmann family, right? They're not from Israel. They're from Poland.
right,
So there was a man who converted to Judaism. His name was he had a Polish first name. I forget what the original name was, but he changed his first name to Chaim. So in the books, he's known as Chaim Weizmann. So Chaim was the best friend of Eisenhower, the president of the United States. So what he does is he starts talking to Eisenhower about a place for his people to be able to go. He sets up classes in these different places run by the United Nations where you could go to the embassies in these countries: Poland, Russia, Ukraine, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, is one with a B, but those places, and Bulgaria. And
Bulgaria. I was just about to say Bulgaria.
yeah, so in those places, you can get, well, back in the day, you would be able to go to those places and be able to take classes to learn how to speak Hebrew. This is where Yiddish was started because they had to teach them how to speak a language that was similar to Hebrew using the Hebrew characters, where they would be able to pronounce all the words. This is a documented fact. You can look it up. So it wasn't a
Oh
language
no, no,
that they
I'm not.
spoke
I'm not.
before this
I'm not.
time.
I'm not disputing
So
everything you're saying so far is correct.
so well, I'm glad we agree up to that point. But the thing is that a lot of those people had documentation that they were not originally quote unquote Jewish, right? They were not Yehudim. So those people not being of the
Indicating
land.
that they're Christian. Indicating that they're Christians.
No. I'm saying ethnically, like they're from Poland. They had no standing of them saying that they used to be Israel and then they became Polish due to the diaspora. There was none of that. There's none of
So
that
just
in
a
the
quick.
books.
So just a quick question for a point of of connectivity.
Uh-huh.
If a Nigerian is born in Puerto Rico, are
Mhm.
they no longer Nigerian?
No, they're still Nigerian. That's what I'm telling you. You're making
Okay.
it seem as if they're Israelites or people that were from the land that went to Poland and then somehow from Poland lost their identity, which the Bible says people would lose their identity. It didn't talk about the people in Poland. It talked about different type of people, but I could explain that later. So, but because we got migration patterns and all those type of things.
Europe is no exception. Africa is no exception. South
Well,
America is
I
no
didn't mention
exception.
Europe specifically. I mentioned a couple different countries, and I did that on purpose. I
Where's
didn't say
Poland?
people from England. I didn't say people from France, Russia, Germany aren't couldn't possibly be Israel. But the
But all of those
majority of the
countries
people
that you
in
mentioned, where are they?
Europe. But I didn't say
Right.
Europe as a whole, brother. I mentioned a couple different countries in Europe. That's what I said. And I
I
said I
got
did
you.
that specifically for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to prove that the people from Russia, Poland, Germany, and if you know anything about Netanyahu, his family's Poland Russian originally. That's where he comes from.
I just
So,
want you to understand something before you continue.
huh?
I've been living here for. I just want you to understand something before you continue.
Mm-hmm.
We've been at war for. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Like I'm
Okay.
saying, mm-hmm.
I just want you to understand something before you continue. We've been at war for almost 1,000+ days. I've been in this country for almost 11 years, and I've been having this conversation since I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So the evidence that you are presenting to me is not going to sway or push or influence to have me think otherwise, that the people who established the country or founded the country didn't have the right to do so based upon the fact that you or those of your ilk or the world may say, oh, well, you guys aren't from there. We're a diasporic people. And regardless as to where we came from, we came back, we fought a war, we won that war. And when you win the war, you can do as you please. And that is what you see today.
Okay. So that was basically an admission that no matter where they come from or whether they're the right people or not, as long as they converted and did what they say the law is, because basically what you're doing is whatever law you're keeping over there, it's laws that they have created instead of the laws. Everything doesn't come from the Torah. A lot of it comes from other books, but the
Well,
Torah is
sir,
what
do you mean if you
the
mean the state
land was
itself,
founded from.
if you mean the state itself, we're a secular government. We don't have a Sanhedrin at the moment. We don't have a temple at the moment. Bizrat Hashem, the temple's
Well, I
gonna
mean, the Bible
be
says when
rebuilt
you're
right
going to
now.
get a temple, you're never going to have a temple. There ain't going to be no moment until you get one, until the guy that you don't believe in comes back.
Well,
But
sir, that's what your Bible says, and what your Bible says is of no concern to me or my cohorts.
I understand that. You know what I'm saying? And to get to your other point, this conversation is in no way, shape, or form to get you to believe what we believe. That is not why I wanted to have the conversation. My job here is not to, try to sway you in any way, shape, or form. I think you're an Israelite. I think you have a right to be in the land. So I could give a damn what you believe, who your friends are, anything like that. I have people that are Jewish that I'm
Hold
cool
on
with.
1 second, please.
Yeah,
Hold on
yeah,
one
yeah.
second. שואל, מה שלומך? בסדר גמור, ברוך השם. זה משפחת עוזרי, שם. מה? אז אתה מדבר אנגלית או עברית? Okay. We're going to סליחות, and I'm waiting for him to wake up to come out. Yeah. לא, זה בית שלי. זה למעלה. 345569792. אריאל יניב האור.
Mm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on one second.
No, you good.
Ken, תודה רבה, השם ישמור אותך. We have a community watch, and they're rolling around making sure everybody's good. So
Word. That's
we're
smooth.
good. My apologies.
And you doing that, some other people in other quote unquote camps might not like that, but I don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? I actually like seeing a brother out there, you know, living his life, being able to prosper, you know what I'm saying, being able to fit in, all that type of stuff. So we're not a camp like Captain Tazariak and them. I just want to put that out there. We are a camp, but we're not that type of camp. They're not associated with us. We're not associated with them. I've helped them on a couple debates and stuff like that, but against Muslims, but like not, yeah. Other than that, that's as far as our relationship goes. So, but like as far as like the conversation we were having before, the main reason, and my thing honestly isn't even about hating them or anything like that for stealing identities if that's what happened, right? I could care less
Mhm.
because if that's the case, Most High is gonna take care of it anyway, right?
Correct.
So that's much less what we're trying to get our camp and the people that follow us to understand. It's more so keeping the law, you know what I'm saying, trying to do what Yah wants us to do so that, you know, for those of us that think we're in captivity, we can get up out of here and get what we're supposed to get according to what the Bible says. So,
Well, the only way that
um,
that can be executed is if you have oral and written law. Do you follow oral law?
I'm learning it right now. I'm currently learning how to speak Hebrew, contemporary Hebrew, and so that I can like, you know, start to keep oral law. So I heard you
Do
got
you
to speak
think do,
Hebrew to do it. You can't do it in English. So I'm trying to
do
learn.
you think do you think that that's something you're supposed to do? Because it isn't a because perfect example, keeping Shabbat. You're not allowed to do that if you're not Jewish. And in the event that you do that, it comes with severe divine repercussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we teach that too. You know what I'm saying? So, but I teach the way we teach it here in America because we're in America. There's scriptures that talk about in the Torah and Tanakh where it says the Most High will speak to you with stammering lips and another tongue. So we kind of,
Do you know
a
what that
lot of us
means?
get lax. Hold on, just let me finish. So
Okay, no problem.
a lot of us kind of get lax when it comes to speaking, you know, in the Hebrew. But
Hmm.
I've always been of the understanding that it should be Hebrew that you learn to pray in, that you learn to worship in, that you learn to speak to the Most High in, if you will. So it
Okay.
shouldn't be a different language other than the language that He gave us. Um, I think the
Like for
stammering
like
lips
for
and other
like like
tongue
for
thing
like
is
for
more so.
instance,
Yeah, go
like
ahead.
for instance, the gentleman who just pulled up on me, some little young dudes.
Uh-huh.
Both of them were American and they were kind of like going around in their Hebrew.
Yeah,
My Hebrew
because
was
I
just
heard you talk American a little bit to try to
right.
like.
I had to switch it up to make the connectivity. So I
Right.
understand what you're saying with your importance in learning the language, but you also have to learn context and content. Like for instance, when you make reference to a stammering lips in another tongue, that means that it's being taught with laughter. That's the context of it.
You see, that's what I mean by what I was saying before. I'm glad you said that because, as I said, I'm a historian, right? So I might not be able to speak the language, but there's tools I can use to go into the language to be able to make sure that it matches up with what it's supposed to match up with, right? And everything that I see where it talks about stammering lips and another tongue, the stammering lips, because we have to acknowledge that before the Jewish people got there, they were reading this in Latin, Koine Greek, and in English. Because as I said, and it's proven, it's a documented fact, the people that speak Hebrew over there didn't speak Hebrew before the late 1800s because they had to be taught that. So,
Okay.
um, uh, that being the case, they would have learned the language originally from the same people that we are learning it from in the English translations that we have. Now, there's better English translations in the King James. I will tell you that now. So I'm not going to say that that's the one version we should use. But there's Latin translations and there's Greek translations that you can use if you speak Latin and Greek as well that would explain to you certain things. And when it comes to stammering lips in other tongues, it's always like not laughter that I see there, but more so other languages, right?
Okay.
Difficult other languages, if you will. So the same thing with us being strangers and things like that, whether it be in the Old Testament or the New Testament. And I know you don't believe in the New Testament, so I'm trying not to really go into that too much, you know what I'm saying, so that we could keep a level conversation. But I think that languages makes more sense than the context of laughter that they're taught in Israel now, because there are strangers in Israel. So in order for them to be taught certain things, they would have to be taught in a different language. I don't know if you believe in the Maccabees, but it would technically be an Old Testament book. It is historically documented as a book that actually has a Jewish origin, if you will. It's in the Catholic Bibles. It's just not in the Protestant ones, because
I
they
read
changed.
I read Sefer Hamakabim every year during Hanukkah.
Okay, so all right, bet. So he keeps Hanukkah, and for those of y'all that didn't understand that, and he reads Maccabees. So that being the case, I think that there being like proof, because you could trace, at least from that book, right? If you look at the Lacedaemonians, or the Lacedaemonians, as they're called, in that book, the people that are kin to the Jews that were also in captivity to Antioch, to Antiochus and stuff like that. Those people, according to history, when you do research on them, every historian that's done a deep dive on them says they go back to the tribe of Dan.
Okay.
That's who I trace my family.
You actually reminded me, and I have a question for you about that.
Yes,
Because
sir.
you said that your family's from Shevat Dan. So my question is, I'm under the assumption
I trace my
that
family back to that captivity as the Lacedaemonians.
okay, understood. So you said that you are from Shevat Dan, and I'm under the assumption that you are going by the house of your father, correct?
Correct.
So if it's from a paternal line, your father, is he a Israelite of his own invention, or is that something that you placed upon him so you can set yourself within this culture?
No, as I said when I started, my grandfather did the research on my family. My great grandfather had access to different books and stuff like that, and before he died, he was explaining things to my grandfather. He passed
So
away.
what about his father?
That's my great grandfather,
Yeah, so what
the one
about your
that
great
was doing the
grandfather?
research too. He did the research, told what he had found to my grandfather. Then he died. My grandfather did the rest of the research and found out that we were, Israelites. Didn't find a
Well, do you
tribe
guys
before
have
he died.
a history and a pattern of, let's say, building a sukkah, circumcision, keeping
Yes,
dietary laws? Do you have all of that?
we don't eat pork. Everybody in my family, as long as is every male in my family that I know of is circumcised. There's no uncircumcised male on my mom or my dad's side, and my mom is Haitian. Um, she also did research and found that her family, before getting to Benin, were of a tribe that was taken to Haiti from another place. They didn't like they weren't taken on the boat originally to Haiti. They came from another place and stuff like that, and were brought there sometime through slavery. And there's a map called the Negro Land map that when I was doing I'm a history research, I found out that it was real and authenticated. I believe it was one of the King Georges. I can't remember right now off the top of my head that did it, but one of them had a man comprise it. His name is at the top of it. When you get the real map, if you can find a picture of the actual one on the internet, his name will be on the top left corner. But the map maker went through and asked a bunch of different geographers and stuff like that, and people that were surveying the land and worked in Africa from Europe, where these Israelite tribes were. He was able to mark them on a map, as many of them as he could. And my mom's people were taken from one of those places and into Benin, where they got off on the
What
ship.
what year what year is this?
My mother, or are you
No,
talking
not
about
your
the
mother.
map?
The map. What year is
The
this?
map, I believe it was invented in 1700s, about 1735, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that's also around the time that you have a lot of philo-Semitism that is becoming popularized within Europe and also within Africa
Yeah.
because of Christian what are they called? Missionaries, because of Christian missionaries.
But do you know
So the
about the
reason
reason why they started that, because of the amount of Jews that lived in those places. A lot of those places were founded by Jews.
A lot of which places?
A lot of European places, England, Scotland, Wales. Those people, though they became Christian later, a lot of them had Jewish backgrounds.
Now,
And
I've
just
heard of that, and I've heard of that actually from people who are part of the Christian Identity Church.
Well, I don't know anybody from the Christian Identity Church, but I can tell you that it's a like I've taught lessons on it where I've gone through historical books and showed different things like that, migration patterns and everything. Like there's maps if you know where to
Okay.
look. So I
Okay.
could point you to some of those lessons if you want, but those people were originally quote unquote Israelite. And I use that word not because of what we are into, but because of the actual etymology of the word. So they would be, descendants of the man Israel, who we call Yahoo. So, or Yaquab in our paleo version of it. So, but
Hold on. When you
that's
say hold on,
also that's also what I was going to say too.
when you say paleo, you
Yeah.
do understand that a person doesn't speak paleo. Paleo is like a font. That's like me saying I speak
So
Times New Roman
so
or I
paleo,
speak yeah.
the etymology of the word paleo is ancient. So when we say paleo Hebrew, we're just saying ancient Hebrew, or what they call uh, Old Canaanite, one of the Proto-Sinaitic languages. So when you look at Old Canaanite, it's the same characters of what they use for the Lashawan Kodash. It's the same exact characters, same alphabet, if you will, and everything like that. The pronunciations are the same and everything. So that's where
Got you.
our elders got that from. It's technically Old
Okay.
Canaanite, but they've called it the Lashawan Kodash because of
So
them
when they
putting the
so
characters together. That's how they would have made or came up with the words old language or old tongue, if you will. So
when they
being
say that it's a colloquial term.
basically, yeah, for us.
Got you.
But
Got
I'll
you.
be honest, most Israelites don't even know that.
Yeah.
So most of us in our community don't know that it's a colloquial term and that the language is actually Old Canaanite. They think it's Lashawan Kodash. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Bless their
man enough
heart.
to say
Bless
that.
their hearts. Bless their
So
hearts.
yeah, we do teaching here a little bit different. When I was at Sons of Thunder, they, I don't really know what they're doing now. We had a split, but when I was with them, that's how we did it too. So it's not just us going by how the other camps do stuff. We have elders that come from the other camps, but as soon as we made our own camp, we started doing things different from them based on what we saw in the Bible. So, uh, yeah, like my
If
camp,
you believe the
yeah. Go ahead, my bad.
if you believe these convictions to be so true, and I'm not suggesting that you do this, but
Mhm.
why not just drop the camp doctrine? Why not drop the King James Bible? Why not drop the reliance on the Christ figure and become B'nai Noach? And if that suits you, and if you want something more, then continue on a halakhic path. I'm not suggesting that you do it, but I'm saying, why for you is a camp necessary? Why is the King James Bible necessary, and why is
Well,
relying on the Christ character necessary?
I'll say for one, because my spirit is telling me that the Christ character is real. When I read Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 to 18, I see Moses talking about a man that's going to come. When I read Zechariah, I see him talking about a man that rides on a donkey and gets his beard pulled out. And there's only one that I see that happen to, that had to drink gall. He gives the exact description. When when David is speaking in Psalms, he says that the Lord said to my Lord. When Solomon is speaking in Proverbs 30 and 4, he says, he talks about the Most High and the wonders he does with the wind and the earth. And then he says, what is his name and what is his son's name, if thou can tell? So there's a let us make man in our image. And then there's a speaking of the word in the New Testament, who they say has been there from the beginning. So there's a lot of things in it when you read it that seem to make sense. There's Second Esdras, which is in the Apocrypha. I don't know how many of the books of Ezra you believe in, but in Second Esdras chapter 7, he names the Messiah specifically. Doesn't give the name Jesus, but says the Messiah and gives the wonders of the things that are written in Revelations as far as what's going to be said. So
So he doesn't give a name,
he doesn't give a name,
but
but just like Zechariah doesn't give a name, but the actual character's actions that he gives are the actions that we read Jesus live in the Bible.
well,
It's the
well,
same
that
thing
would
that we
be
see Jesus live in the
it
Bible
would
with Ezra.
be it would be it would be par for the course, because of course we all know what came first. So if
We
I'm
have
trying
Daniel.
to
right? Daniel with the
So if
vision.
so if I'm trying to convince or I'm trying to make people believe that this is that guy, then of course, since Torah came first, the Nevi'im were coming in succession.
Mhm.
I would then make sure that whom I want to be that person does what the script, for lack of a better term, says to do. Because I'm sure that you and I both know that, for instance, one of the responsibilities of the messianic figure is that he is supposed to gather in all the exiles and also rebuild the Beth Hamikdash. And those two things were not accomplished by the Christ character. So there's no way it could be him.
What two things? My bad. I was reading the comments. I missed that.
Rebuilding the Beth Hamikdash
Okay.
and also in gathering all of the exiles.
Okay.
He didn't
So
do those things.
right. So here's the thing, right? And I think this is the mistake because there are messianic Yehudim in Israel, right? There's Beni Israel that
Yeah, yeah.
believe in
There's
the
a there's
Messiah
a there's
there.
a there's a
So
there's a community of them. That is true.
yeah, so I mean, it is possible to still be considered such and believe in Christ. But aside from that, what I wanted to say was there are like evidences because I see people here asking basically about like why you don't mention him, who's the son of man in here and there's I'm not gonna ask all those type of different questions because to me that's not gonna lead to a fruitful conversation. It's gonna turn into arguments and stuff. So
Oh, it's not gonna be an argument. I'm just gonna tell you that I'm not beholden to it.
yeah, facts. Well, not really argument, but I mean like the disagreement's not gonna come of anything. It's gonna be a mute point, which is no reason to, we already stated I'm not gonna make you believe nothing. You're not gonna make me believe nothing. I've been doing this for a while.
Right.
I'm a historian. I became one because of this. I was in law school.
But we gotta,
So
we gotta call a hammer and a spade. If a
I
person
feel that.
says that I believe that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad Yabach Shemov Zichro is his prophet, I'm going to call that person a Muslim. If a person says that Moses received oral and written law at Mount Sinai, and that those, as you would call them, laws, statutes, and commandments are kept lador wador from generation to generation, I'm going to say, okay, that person's a rabbinical Jew. If a person says that God has a begotten son who came from a virgin woman, da 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 da, and I follow, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I'm gonna call that person Christian. But if a person then says,
Okay.
oh, I believe in oral and written law, but I also believe that God has one begotten son who was offered up as human sacrifice, I'm gonna call that person confused.
Okay, gotcha. So I would be confused because I don't think
I mean,
that. No, I'm just saying, and I don't got no problem with that. Like according to your belief, right? So I'm gonna
okay.
stay confused. But my thing is, I also think that the understanding of because our understanding of Christ and the way he was made up and everything, the Virgin Mother, we don't believe Mary's a virgin like the Christians believe she's a virgin. We go by the etymology of the word. Virgin used to mean a woman of marriageable age. It didn't mean somebody that never had sex. And this is an old English book.
Are you saying
So
alma or bitul?
explain that because I don't know that word yet.
An alma is a young woman.
So Alma, I'm
Okay.
saying she would be Alma according to what we believe virgin means. So
Okay.
so when you look at the Greek, because that's what we can find for those scripts, right? The Greek there doesn't say the word for not like woman that's not had sex or virgin in the way that we think now. It's basically young woman, which
Okay.
would constitute as a woman that hasn't had sex, but she also might have had sex. You don't know, right? It's virgin
Understood.
in the sense of she was young, a woman that's old enough to be married. You know what I'm saying? According to Jewish law. So
I got one more question about that.
yeah, what's
Just
up?
one more question. Would you rather choose a living and present God or a man who has passed that has been alluded to have the power of God? Because the God that I serve is real and he's active and he's present and he's here.
No, I
But
feel
the
that.
Christ
Mine
care,
too.
right?
And I'm not talking about
Okay.
Christ. I'm not talking about Christ.
Okay.
So,
Okay, but the Christ
but hold on.
character, we for lack of a better term, or not we, because I'm not waiting on them, but for lack of a better term, a lot of people waiting on the weed man. They're waiting on them to come back
I feel
with the
you. I feel you.
goods.
And that's the Christian mentality. That's specifically what a lot of us, if they're teaching it right and they understand it properly, that's what they're supposed to be fighting against. There's a way to believe
Okay.
that is wrong, as me and you do, and still believe in Christ, because we don't believe that that's what it's saying Christ to be and what it says he is according to his words, right? I could bring up scripts and what they say is the red letter, which would be what they say Christ said, where he's telling people not to worship him, that the Father is greater than him, which means he's not God, and that he's, when he gets put on the cross, he's in Hebrew speaking to the Most High, asking him to save him. If he was God, he should be able to zap himself off the cross like damn Blade and start killing everybody, right? So,
Right.
like, that's what I'm saying. We don't believe that Christ is the Most High God. That's a Christian mentality, and we think it was taught like that. Similarly to why we think certain things in the Jewish community are taught the way they are about Christ and about
I
certain
mean, but
parts of
at
the
the
law,
same
so
time,
that there wouldn't be a real understanding given to the people that actually belong to the land, and the land actually belongs to them.
but see, here's the thing. You all are in no way, shape, or form equipped to tell us that what we're doing is incorrect.
And that I agree with, which is why a lot of us are studying to get equipped. Because the way we
You're
started, we
you're
think that this is
studying
just
to
the
you're
beginning.
studying to get equipped to tell people that they're not doing something right.
To show you that you're not doing something, and that because look, there's already me being in the story, and I can share this, right? Um, I can prove, and not just me, but other documented doctoral historians in my league, right? No matter what school they go to, you can name a school, I could tell you that they're there, whether they're in America, whether it's Cambridge, whether it's y'all big college in Israel, because there's some of them there too that know the truth. So
You mentioned all secular institutions, and you haven't mentioned one rabbinical institution.
that's why I said the big
Secular,
school y'all
s-
have in Israel.
secular. That's a secular institution. You haven't mentioned any rabbinical
Well,
institutions.
of
There are
course, the
rabbi.
rabbinical ones aren't going to say it, but there are rabbinical ones that attest to the Limba being Israelites and saying that they have the Kohanim gene and they're all black people.
So if any, so
Rabbis.
if any,
There's
so if
there's there's
anything,
rabbis like Harry Rosenberg. There's rabbis like
he's not.
uh
He's not.
like
He's not a rabbi.
I thought he was. He's a Moreh.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was too.
Okay, well damn. Well, maybe he's a former rabbi because when I met him, he was Rabbi Harry Rosenberg.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
probably
That's
got
that's.
he probably got demoted or something.
It's
'Cause-
not about being demoted. It's about
And
when
Rudy
you ask
Rockman.
people
What
when
about
you
Rudy
Rudy
Rockman? Rabbi Rudy.
Rudy Rudy does not have smicha. Rudy's not a rabbi. He's an advocate for Israel. He's a soldier. He speaks against anti-Semitism, but he's not a rabbi. I don't know who told y'all that.
Okay, well,
Y'all
well, well,
stop listening to the internet, y'all. Come on.
well. If they're
Come
not
on.
rabbis, they have rabbis that they work for because of the things that they do. So
They
what
don't
I'm
have
saying
rabbis
is,
that they don't have rabbis that they work for.
I knew
And the
for a
only way that
fact
a
Rudy
person
has a rabbi he works for because he said it on that dude's show when he was speaking about it. I did a class on it.
hold on a second. He may have someone that he works with, and I know Rudy personally.
Okay.
Last time I checked, he's not employed by any rabbinical organization. He acts of his own accord.
Yeah, he acts of his own accord, but I'm saying like as far as he made it, he made a point to say he has to get permission to go to these places he goes to from the Israelite or the Israeli authorities and certain
Exactly,
people
but
in
that
power
doesn't
there.
right, but that doesn't mean that
He
there's
has to
like for
have
instance,
power
like
to allow these people to be considered, Jews in these African places he's going to and stuff like that.
I
He has
mean,
to get permission for that.
that in it, anybody who would take that mission upon themselves. If I went to, Papua New Guinea, and I knew that there was a population of Jews there, or people that identify with Judaism, I can't just have a Sofer Stam, write up a Sefer Torah, take it, and then go and then do what I do. I could, but I would be in a
Nobody
grievous
would care.
error
It wouldn't matter.
because that's no, it's not that it wouldn't matter, it's that that's proselytizing. But what I would do if I was a respectable human being is I would go to my personal rabbinical authority and I would say, look, here's the case as it's presented. This is what's been laid before me. This is what I think that we should do. Please tell me what you think. And then that Rav, now I want you to understand Amore and a Rav are
Mhm.
the same thing. It's the same thing. In the Yemenite tradition, we call our rabbinical figures More.
Yeah,
That's what we call them.
our
It's,
Old
it's the same
Testament
thing.
people do the same thing.
So what I would then do is I would go and I would speak to them, and if it was something that was worthy to be taken like up further, then they would take it to somebody who is a dayan, who has the power to bring down a psak din. That psak din would then be, okay, we see this case, we understand it, and what we're going to do is give a haskama, permission for Ariel Yaniv Haor to take this Sefer Torah scroll over to these people in Papua New Guinea. But this is where you start and this is where you stop, and don't go no further. And when you're done, come right back home. That's the way that works. It doesn't mean that you work for somebody, because a lot of people don't
Okay.
understand, but we're still under a feudal system, like the feudal system that you read in Shoftim. We're still under that system. We have our
Okay.
chiefs and our elders,
So you got
and
chief elders and rabbis you got to go to
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
permission.
yeah. But that doesn't mean that everybody does it. It just means that's what you're supposed to do. But some people just do whatever they want. I'm not speaking against Rudy in any way, shape, or form. That's Brundum. But some people do as they please. I don't think he's one
I
of those
feel
people, because I don't know that
okay.
part of his work.
No, no. Well, I don't either. That's why I said he mentioned he gets permission from certain authorities. That's why I
Right.
thought
He
I
works
took
with
it
people.
as
That
him
doesn't mean
working
right.
for those people. But I understand what you say.
Mm-mm.
It's a feudal system, so he has to get
Okay.
permission. I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, with that being said, since we talked about Rudy and you say you know him, how do you feel about his work when it comes to certain African tribes and stuff like that he's gone to, and him acknowledging that they, have Israelite heritage and stuff like that? And then how do you feel about the people, some people in Israel? I don't know how many because I ain't never been. I know there's some that do agree with it, but I know there's also some that don't. So how do you feel about people like Rudy doing work to find out who those people actually are? And when he comes back with it, there's still people that choose not to believe it.
I don't agree or disagree with it, because I'm so far removed and an outlier from it that I'm not the right person to answer that question.
Okay, I got you. So you're so established as far as your identity as a Yehudim, you don't even care about, you know, the people on the outside trying to figure out what's
N-
going on as much.
No, not really,
Or
because
what
I'm
people
trying.
that are like hating on people that could be getting in but don't want them to. You know what I'm saying? You don't kind of
I'm not looking at anybody else in the gym. I'm just lifting my weights.
I feel you focusing on your own salvation. I ain't got no problem with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I just want to know, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew you
No
said
problem.
that you're like, entwined with different parts of the community. So I figured you probably know a little bit of everybody out there. So I assume you probably know people that don't like it too. So that's why I said so.
I know of a lot of people, and I know very little people, if that makes any sense.
Okay. That makes sense. A lot of sense. All right. Well, shit. Um,
The work that I do personally is different. I'm actually the chief educator and creator of a non for profit called ADIFI, which is the African American Delegation for Israel. And what we do is we move African American voter bases away from voting for Islamicist and Marxist candidates in the United States, who
word.
are scaring Black voters into voting for a lot of Democratic National Socialists by saying the I word and the A word, I word being Israel and the A word being APAC. You remember that episode of Family Guy where Lois was running for office and she would just get up on the
Yeah.
podium and just say buzzwords and people would
Buzzwords.
just lose their minds? Right. So that's what we're trying to pull people away from, because a lot of people, a lot of African Americans don't know that whilst they call for the destruction of Israel at the behest of Marxist Islamicist candidates, these people have never been to this side of the globe. And they also have, I'm talking about the African American voter base, more than likely they got family members over here. Because, like I said, there's 30,000 African Americans over here, and they've
Word.
been coming here since the 19. Bro, I met somebody who was from my mom's street in Detroit, and that man's old enough to be my granddaddy.
Word. My family's from Flint too, by the way. So, shout out to you being from Detroit. I got a lot of family out there and stuff. So,
Beautiful.
but yeah, man. Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's helpful too. It was one more question I want to ask you. Don't lose it. Maybe two more.
No problem.
So,
I got time for two more.
all right, bet. So, as far as like, because I kind of feel like I understood what you were saying about the camps and stuff like that, but I also think you understand we're not exactly like all the different camps out there. So, what exactly would you and people in your circle in Israel feel since you're obviously cool with Rudy, so you got people in the circle that have, and they cool with you. You being a black man from Detroit, there's people out there that you are cool with that have no issue with black people taking up the mantle and trying to keep Torah and uphold their place in the land, if you will. So, what would you say you and your circle would say that camps need to do in order to be considered, you know, real Yahudim, B'nai
Get
Israel?
down, get down or lay down.
As far as what though? Like get down with what? What specifically? Like would we have to would Torah Tanakh, let's it's still gonna be some of them that do the gospel. I ain't gonna lie to you because people like me ain't gonna stop. But let's say if we was on like the messianic Yehudim side, right? So like if we was getting accepted on that side, and even because like I said, I'm cool with a lot of Old Testament people. I keep boots with them every year. So even for them, they already do the oral tradition and all that type of stuff. That's why I'm learning the Hebrew from and everything. So like but they still are like congregations or camps, if you will, the way that they live and everything like that, as far as how they like brought up.
Correct.
So like, what would I guess all of us as a whole, even those keeping this close to the like closer traditions to what y'all keep, what would we all have to do? Would we have to uphold the Kabbalah as well, or would like the
To
Torah
to
Tanakh be
to
enough?
quote
Or
to quote Chad Butler, get off the boo boo. And we and we all know what the boo boo is. So I'm just saying, if you say that you are a Yehudim, conduct you did you see that viral video of that dude in New York who ran up on that Hasidic brother and he said, "Yo, on King David, the blacks are the real Jews, the blacks are the real Jews." And my man said, "Okay, well, why are you telling me? Go put
why
on
don't you do
CT, go do
something?
what the
Yeah,
Torah,
yeah, yeah,
go
yeah,
do
yeah.
what the
I saw
Torah
that.
tells you to do." So
I saw that.
that's our attitude. If you all are saying that you all are, because you all say you all are the real Jews, which is just funny. But it's like if that's what you believe that you are, why you telling us? Why you telling everybody else? Go do what the Torah tells you to do. And if you see that there is a court that is established in your state that determines who is and who ain't, as my Mississippian grandmother used to say, go and do your due diligence. And if you sidestep that, it's because you're sidestepping the truth and the truth and your responsibility because you don't have the courage to follow your convictions.
All right. Okay. I like that answer. That might have been the only one because the other
I,
question I think I basically
I
asked
had somebody tell me I wouldn't do that because white people are racist. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you, Brody. If
they
you
don't
think
do
that they're
what because
white,
white people are racist.
they said that they would never go to a Beit Din to go through a proper conversion because they believe that white people are racist. I said, so you're letting fear dictate your connection with the Almighty? Hey, I don't know what else to tell you. You scary. Get from around me.
That was my last question, right? So with that being said, because there's people that, and I've had conversations where people actually say this stuff, right? So there's people like on our side of the community that uh the reason that they keep themselves from learning from quote unquote white Jews, right, is because they ask the question, like me being a historian, if we can prove that there's a sect of them that are in rabbinical situations that we can trace back to Russia and Poland, and there's a lot of the Russian and Poland people that we can prove were converts that never had any connection, were never part of the Israelite diaspora. But they're the ones making a lot of the rules now. Who's to say that the things that they're making part of the conversion aren't things that were originally part of the conversion? If there's, you know, like because we have records to prove what was originally part of the conversion. The Torah is before the Kabbalah and the Talmud. So most of our people subscribe to things that come from just the Torah. Any books that came after it that aren't a part of the Tanakh, you know what I'm saying? And even the Gospels, for those that believe in that, they wouldn't subscribe to it just because of the proof that we can see it came later. In the time periods it came were during the time periods of conversion. So it could have been people that were never part of Israel that made these books in the first place, that were written in the books as quote unquote Pharisees. You know what I'm saying? So that's
That's a pretty heavy accusation and a very big putdah. just for the
It's
sake
not an
of being
accusation.
right.
It can be proven. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm a
My friend,
historian.
I don't believe you. As a person who is uninitiated in language, culture, and custom on this side of the line, which is the only side that matters, I wholly disregard everything that you said in regards to
But
that.
see, history has nothing to do with language if you can put the language in a language that you can understand, which we have linguistic scholars for that. So the point I'm
Are
making
they
is,
rabbinical scholars?
yes, I mean, they have to be rabbinical scholars in order for them to teach Hebrew. There's nobody that's in the
You don't have to be a
historical,
rabbinical scholar. You don't have to be a rabbinical scholar to teach Hebrew.
and the historic and anthropology. No, no,
Just
no,
like how you don't
look.
have to be a Quranic
As
scholar to
somebody
teach
who's got
Arabic.
a degree in history and anthropology, brother, I'm telling you, you you can't get information in anthropology from a linguistic scholar that isn't.
Are you a linguistical anthropologist?
No, I'm a historical anthropologist. I made that
Okay,
pretty
so
clear.
being a linguistical
But I work
anthropologist
with
doesn't
linguistical anthropologists. I have to.
and those people who are linguistical anthropologists, I guarantee you, if one of them teaches Arabic, it does not mean that he or she is a Quranic scholar. Just the same way as a person who teaches Hebrew doesn't have to be a Torah scholar. But when it comes to them looking at manuscripts, lahavdil, such as the Quran, then they would have to understand how the language is applied based upon the rhythms and the patterns that are inside of the manuscript.
Today, that is 144,000% true. What I'm saying is those original manuscripts and things, because you spoke about linguistics, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah, yeah, yeah.
something was in Hebrew and it got translated 500, 600, 700 years ago, 1,000 years ago, even for some of the manuscripts that we had, that person had to be a linguistic scholar from that place. They have a Jewish name. They have Jewish history. We can trace them back to a Jewish family. And they were the scholars that were doing these linguistic studies. When you look up the making of the King James Bible, it tells you specifically historically that it was 7 Hebrew and Greek scholars. So they were scholars that not only spoke Hebrew and Greek, but there were 5 of the Hebrew and Greek scholars that were actually, like out of the 7, that were actually Jews. There were
Okay.
2 that were Greek. So they say Hebrew and Greek scholars, but you can look up the origins of the 7. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
I got you.
that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Back then, it tells you who these people were that were translating these works. So there's folks that can, like, the reason I called it a transitional period or a conversion period is because we can see certain people from that conversion period based on the history that we could find on some of them. We can see where they came from, where they converted from, right? And based on the migration patterns, because
What is your beef with conversion?
I have no beef with conversion. My beef is with the issue of, I know for a fact, based on certain things.
Because you bring it up pejoratively.
No. I'm about to bring it up to you. Like here's the reason why. Like, it was the reason why I was formulating the question the way I was formulating it, or the statement I was making the way I was formulating it. Because you mentioned us going through the traditions, basically putting away all of the stuff that we had, right? But I'm saying a lot of the reason why a lot of our people are hesitant to do that is because due to us being, a lot of us, well, I'm not even gonna say a lot of us, some of us, like myself and others that are prominent in the community, being people that studied history before they came into the truth, or study history afterwards, or are historical scholars still, right? We are in situations where, and sorry about the noise, but
That's all
we're
right.
in situations where, like, a lot of our people realize, okay, we can prove that a lot of these people that are making the rules or that made the rules, because we can prove who made what rules based off their name, and we can do linguistic studies, anthropological studies on them, depending on if they got fingerprints in a database or anything like that, to find out where they came from. There's databases for that stuff if you have the credentials for it. So you can look up certain people that are on certain documents and see, oh, you're a full Russian. You aren't even a part of the diaspora. So here's the issue. So are the laws that you're coming up with for people to convert, are they actually biblical, Torah laws that were used for conversion, or are they things that you guys made up after y'all got to the land and made the war because the winners of the war can make the rules? So then it becomes a thing of, are we making our conversion process to being accepted into the land based on something that God didn't require and these men are requiring in God's land? And then the Bible talks about, Old Testament and New Testament, a bastard who lives in Ashdod that's not supposed to be in the land. Talks about how the faces of Jacob will never wax pale in
Oh,
both of
come
those
now,
Old
come
Testament
now,
verses. So I'm
come
saying
now.
when you
And
look
I'm
up the
assuming that, and
linguistics,
I'm assuming that you mean that
hold
that
on, hold on, hold on,
literally
hold on,
means
hold on.
having a pale
No,
face.
no, 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 no. Listen, 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 listen. Because I'm no, no, no. I'm not making it that simple. I'm not making it that simple because there's black people that have pale faces. There's people that I go by the seed of the father because the Torah goes by the seed of the father. Seed of the mother is not nowhere in the Bible, or acceptance by the mother is nowhere in the Torah. It's a pedigree thing from the
What about
patriarchal standing.
Shlomit Hadanit, who was
Shlomit
raped by
Hadanit.
the
Who?
who was raped by the Egyptian?
What would that? Who was the father?
It was an Egyptian man.
He's the guy that got stoned, right?
The son is the man that got stoned. Why did he get stoned?
Well, I'm saying he got stoned for doing things he wasn't supposed to do on the Sabbath day. But
Exactly. So, and you and I both know, or maybe you don't know this, but stoning is a punishment that is brought down by our legal system. And
okay,
if the
yeah, the
man
legal system,
wasn't
the
in
Torah.
and if the man wasn't in the nation, he wouldn't have been taken to trial.
So that's what I was trying to explain to you earlier. Everybody a part of the mixed multitude was part of the nation
That's
because they
just
brought
not
in as a mixed
correct.
multitude. It is correct.
That's
The
not
Torah
correct.
explains it explicitly.
That's not
They all
correct.
had to keep the law. They all had to come under the bond of the covenant because they were there. Their families didn't get to keep the bond of the covenant unless they were servants in the land, which is why there were certain laws for having servants in the land. The servants weren't people that we kicked out. We killed all the people that lived there, except for a few. Those few were the ones that we married or took as women like Ruth were, like prisoners of war, if you will, right? So
Ruth
there's
wasn't a prisoner
laws
of
for
war.
those different types of servants. There's laws for people that come from the mixed multitude. There's laws for people that you take into captivity, and there's laws for prisoners of war. So,
Right. I thought, did you say that Ruth was a prisoner of war? Because she wasn't.
well, no, but I'm saying as far as the way that she converted, it was be like the same type of law as far as a prisoner of war. She became a wife to somebody the same way a prisoner of war would. She would have to cut
that's
off her
also
nails. She'd have to shave
that's
her
also
head. She'd have to
incorrect.
do
That's
all of that
also
type of stuff.
incorrect. That's very incorrect.
How is
Very
that
incorrect, my
incorrect?
friend.
So what's
Okay,
incorrect
so
about it?
I do have to tell you that there is a prohibition of that you're not allowed to teach non-Jews Torah. So the best I can do is tell you that it's incorrect, and you can do your own research from my point of view. But I can't literally walk you
Well,
through it step by step.
okay. Well, I'll let you say it's incorrect, right? I know for a fact it's
Okay.
not. Just like the pedigree thing, you would say is incorrect, but the mother thing is nowhere in the Torah. So,
Okay.
and that goes to my point, right? You mentioned an example of a guy who's accepted during the time of the mixed multitude, right? Uh, you can't mention a law in the Torah that says you can be accepted by your mother. That's the point I'm making. So I'm saying the fact that that's the way that you're accepted now, it's in no way, shape, or form by the pedigree of the father, which is the only thing that the Torah explicitly states is how you identify and numbered the people. You know what I'm saying? That is one of the things.
Your father dictates your tribe, and the mother dictates the nation. And the only way that that would come
But
into
that's what I'm
play
saying,
is
though.
in the
There's no
event.
law that says that in the Bible because in the
Hold
book of
on, hold on,
Numbers,
hold on. And the only way that that would come into play is in the event that both of your parents are not from the same Shevet. But see, my friend, this is the difference betwixt you and I. I have access to these things because of the company that I keep, and because
and I have
this
access
is,
because I'm in
and
historian. All the
I
records
mean,
that they
but
say they have to trace their family back, I have access to them and I could show you they don't have them. That's part of the
two,
history.
two, two,
That's part
two,
of the
two,
misconception. That's
two
why
of
it's
our
not
book.
just black Hebrew Israelites that say that those aren't the real Jews because it's a verifiable fact. You can look these people up. All of their grandfathers and great grandmothers and stuff like that's names of the people that were there in 1945 to be taken into the land after they killed Hitler. They documented all of their names. So you can look those people up if you have the credentials to get into those databases, which I know you don't have them. Rudy Rockman don't have them, but I have them. So I'm
Do
telling
you
you,
know? Let me ask you a question. Do you know the definition of jealousy?
the definition of I don't want to give a false definition, but I can look up the correct definition of it.
Okay, so just to paraphrase, a person can only be jealous of another person if they wish to possess something that they acquire. from all of these
I'm not
groups,
jealous of any Jewish people
be
then.
it from all of these groups, be it Sons of Thunder, be it ISUPK, be it the Lone Wolves, be it I don't know what the white boys call themselves, but they have the same belief system that you have. And all of this is coming from a place of jealousy. Because even if a person who subscribes to Christendom and Christian identity is Christian, and I do regard you as a Christian because you regard the Christ character as a Messiah, when you go and read the works of the church fathers, which I did a couple years ago, they don't even say that we're fake Jews. They just say that we're in error because we don't accept the Christ character
That's
as the
not the
Messiah.
people from Poland, Russia, and Germany. That's other people in
And
Europe, which I
again, with the
told you. The
fixation on
holy
Europe
look, look,
is just
look, look, look.
boggling my mind. Why don't you talk about the Jews that come from Yemen or the Jews that come from Tanzania or
Well, hold on a
Uganda?
second. Hold on a
What's
second.
your obsession with European Jewry?
I have to explain this to you since you asked the question. What's our obsession with European Jewry? The European Jews that claim to be Jews that made everything in Israel right now that you are currently following, that is not in the Torah, the Tanakh, or the Gospels, right? It's not even
Why would it be in the Gospels?
Huh?
We're not a Christian nation. Why would it be in the Gospels? We're not a Christian nation.
Okay, well then let's say the Torah and the Tanakh because y'all are a Jewish nation. So it's not in the Torah, the Tanakh.
But you understand that we're a secular state, correct?
Huh?
We're a secular state. You understand that, right?
I would say you're a state. Secular, not so much. I would just call you
regardless
a state.
Regardless
a
as to
nation
what you
state.
say,
A nation state.
right,
How
we
about
are a
that?
nation. We are a nation state, and there's several other nation states that surround us.
Yeah,
But
secular. I don't know if that's a
we're
word that I would use in particular for y'all.
But we are secular.
There's rules to being a secular state. You know what I'm saying? Most of them will be by the people around you actually agreeing that you are a state. Most people don't. They agree that y'all stole that land. If you look up the rules of the war and everything that y'all won, it wasn't even a fair war. The other people didn't have no bombs.
A fair war, my
The
friend.
other people didn't have no bombs.
Hold on one second. So
do you know how they won? Because I know that you didn't read the Balfour Declaration. It's in the Balfour Declaration.
Hold on 1 second. So you mean to tell me
you know that they were originally supposed to be in Kenya, right? Not where they are in Israel.
Hold on, please. I understand what you're saying, and I want you to understand that I understand that if my people are being genocided en masse and I have the power to make moves, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get them wherever they need to be so they can be safe. Also, when it comes
but if
to
that wasn't the land that they were from, why would you move them to a land that they don't belong to?
Because
and then give them fake identities.
Because I'm trying to get you out of Dodge because they're killing us, bro.
So why not take them to other places in Europe? They was in Germany. It's not that big.
We're trying to get out of it because you got to remember something. The National Socialist
They could have took them to England.
The National Socialist
movement. They could have took to America.
The National Socialist movement had two different types of people. That people that wore uniforms and people that didn't wear uniforms. It's not about the band on your arm. It's about the policy that's in your mind and what you're willing to put on paper. So we decided to get ourselves away from where the problem was as quickly as possible. But since you want to talk about and bring up this rumor,
crazy?
hold on, wait a second, before I forget, you want to bring up this rumor of these helpless Arabs, I do not believe that you believe that I think it was 7 or either 9, I'm a little hazy right now, but 7 or 9 or a swath, what did they call themselves? The United Arab League. I don't believe for 1 second that you believe that the United Arab League, who marched on Israel, did not come equipped. And if they came ill-equipped, that's their fault. If I make the poor decision to kick in your door and all I got is a 22 and you got a Mossberg, 'tis no one's fault but mine own if I get my top whopped.
Word.
It's my fault.
So okay, so I'll let you say that. Now let me say this real quick, right? Because I know you've never read this before. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to look for something so I can show it to you. But this is a document from the Truman Library before it was taken down, right? You can't find this on the Truman Library no more. It's still a public organization, still a public website, because all of the presidents of the United States Corporation have to label their library and make it public to the people after 20 years of the library being orchestrated. So 20 years after this was done was about 2018. So I took screenshots of it so I could keep it forever because I knew it wasn't going to stay on the internet very long. And I got put on a hate watch list simply for putting this information out by Canary Missions,
Uh-oh.
which is a Jewish organization, because I was able to prove how they got to the land and showed documents in a 3.5-hour lesson that you could still find on the Sons of Thunder YouTube, proving their last names, the documentation of their original last names. We even got Hitler's real name,
Proving to
Adolf
whom?
Schuckenberger.
Proving to whom and for what purpose?
We were proving to our audience of 28,000 people at the time.
Okay.
And
But for
others
what
that wanted to watch it.
end? To what end?
Just let me finish. I'm trying to explain it. We were explaining that the people that are in Israel today, known as Jewish people, one, had no connection to the land of Israel before they were taken over there. Two, as you said, the whole plan was to get them out of Dodge, but this plan wasn't a plan that started with Hitler. Hitler was the escape. The plan started with the Balfour Declaration, which began in 1898. So,
and the Balfour Declaration, is a byproduct of what? Dumb luck or lobbying and having money, power, and influence?
It was lobbying, having money, power, influence, and a plan for a
what's wrong with that?
People.
What's wrong? What's wrong with? Hold on. Before you try to add all that extra stuff, what's wrong with having money, power, and influence? Don't you want money, power, and influence?
There's nothing wrong with it. But here's what I'm gonna tell you is wrong with what they did.
So don't try to paint it as a negative.
Wait a minute. Wait. Here's what they did that was messed up. As somebody that follows the Torah, you should respect this, I would think, because a lot of them that acknowledge who we are respect this, and that's why they're acknowledging it. So Zionism is a thing that started because of the Balfour Declaration. Zionism exists because of the Balfour Declaration and wanting to hide what it actually was and keep them in the land the way that they are. So everybody else that's there is a byproduct of Zionism, whether they believe in it or support it or not. But what y'all don't understand is the fact that y'all were there, or that
when you say y'all, you mean us that live here? Well,
you've been saying we, so I'm saying the people that live in Israel. Right.
What would possibly, before you even read that, what would possibly make you think that the people that live here don't know about the place where they live? That's very supremacistic. And if I may be so bold.
Well, I know people that live there. If I may be so bold. I don't live there myself.
But my man, that means that you're several people removed and you're relying on the testimony of people who actually, bro, you're a visitor at best.
Right. No. But here's the thing, though. Before you start doing all that, right? You've made statements that prove you don't know about the making of the nation. So I'm trying to explain things to who?
In accordance to you?
No, things that you said in the facts. I'm giving you facts.
To
what's
who?
Right here on this page right here is not me. I didn't write that. This is a documented historical fact from the man that gave y'all Israel, Chaim Weizmann. You're gonna see his name. He didn't give it to us. We purchased his land and we wanted in warfare. Him, Harry Truman, the United Nations, and whoever the king of.
So you're gonna tell me that they rigged the war? All of this was a big show.
Well, I'm about to explain it to you. I'm not gonna say they rigged, but they gave them something because you spoke like if I would have got to finish, you would have understood the point. You started by saying, I don't think that them Arabs would have went into a war ill-equipped. So I'm trying to explain to you how that's exactly what happened, and I'm trying to explain why, right?
Well, whose fault is that?
Wait, hold on. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault because I don't give a damn about them either. The point I'm trying to make is this, and if you let me finish, you'll understand it, right?
Okay, I got you.
So, because I'm not on their side, I don't give two issues about them.
Whose side are you on?
I'm on the side of the Israelites, the people that the land actually belongs to. And I'm trying to explain that to you. So just give me a second, right?
Okay.
There's historical proof, not just from Black Hebrew Israelites, but from white people that are Christian. There's people from like Yair David Lee, who is a rabbi, who has done history on this stuff. He's the guy that wrote the 13th tribe from that book you mentioned earlier, right?
Arthur Kessler.
Arthur Kessler is another guy, but Yair David Lee is another man who wrote his own book.
Arthur Kessler was the author of the
13th tribe. Yeah, you're right. The Yair David Lee wrote. Let me see. I have a picture of the book. Hold on a second. He wrote "Who is Esau Edom," and he explained the whole makeup of the Jewish people and the
white devil.
So, but here's the point. So I mean, white devil means white deceiver. If you know anything about Latin, so I mean, it fits.
White devil,
the whole world. But here's the thing, though, right? The whole point.
Oh my Lord!
And after this, I'll shut the hell up. But the point I was making was because
You can
The
shut
reason
the
I even
hell up
wanted to say
before,
anything about this,
but
right?
I don't want you to cut your show short. You can shut the hell up before, but
No. I mean, I feel you, but I'm still gonna say I need to say this. You feel me? So
I
like,
got you. I got you. I got you.
so here's the thing. You said something earlier about us basically laying down, dropping the Israelite stuff, and converting the way that the Jewish people want us to convert. The
Now,
reason we have an
remember,
issue
I
with
didn't
that,
say that that's something that I want you to do, but I'm saying if this is what you believe
that's what we
is
would need to
your,
do in order for us to be accepted. That's what you said.
if in the event that you want to convert, which I highly suggest that you don't do, being a
Right.
B'nai Noach is completely fine.
I understand. Right. So
Okay,
so so sons of Noah's fine, but if we want to convert, that's what we'd have to do. We'd have to do everything by the book that they are writing. So here's the
correct.
issue. Here's the issue. The reason we said book that we are writing and that you agreed is because you testified, for lack of better terms, that that like they won the war, so they could write the rules. They had power, money, influence via the Balfour Declaration, which allowed them to first make the decision to go to Kenya, as it says in this document. Might not be on this page, but I'll show you guys the pages in a minute. So the original plan was for them to go to Kenya. They decide last minute to go to this place that was at the time called Palestine, right? That not
Who
even
was
all
in
of the
charge at the
Palestinians owned.
time?
Huh?
Who was in charge at the time?
It was called Palestine, but I'm not going to say that they were in charge.
But who was it? Who was in charge?
The United Nations.
No, incorrect. The British were in charge.
They
It
were
was
the
called the
United
British
Nations.
man. No, sir. No, sir. The British government, the British mandate of Palestine, the Britons were in
Yes,
charge.
sir. I understand. I was going to explain the whole Britain situation when I got to go, but the Britain thing was only in charge due to the United Nations. That's who put them in charge. When the United Nations
Okay.
was ready to take the power from Britain, they did so, which is why they didn't go to Kenya. It was Britain's idea that they go to Kenya. They did not want them in Palestine because they knew of the war that would come of it, and they knew that they would lose Palestine afterwards, as they did, right?
So how do you explain the white paper?
The white paper came
Yeah.
from the rules. What do you mean? I'm trying to explain it. The white paper came from the rules specified in the Balfour Declaration. This right here, sir, the Terry Truman org, this is the white paper. It's got the dates on it and everything. What you're reading is the white paper. This is it right here.
Limiting Jewish immigration into what they call the Holy Land.
This will talk about that and the reversal of that act, and it gives you the date. This is the white paper right here. I'm gonna show it to you, or I might not have time on this fast, but I will send you the pictures I have.
It seems to me that you're explaining why you lost a war that you weren't even a part of and actually have no interest in.
No, that ain't what I'm explaining at all. If you let me finish, you'll see what I'm explaining. I'm explaining why it makes no sense for us to follow rules of people that the land doesn't belong to just because they won the war. Right?
Okay. Well, I'm
The
gonna
Bible.
tell you something.
Hold on, before you tell me, just let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or you can decide to leave respectfully. I'm just saying what I need to say before this ends. So, what I want to say is, it doesn't make any sense for us to do that, right? Me asking what would take for us to be accepted was like a question just to see what you was gonna say. We don't really give a damn, right?
So then why even waste? Why waste your time and ask the question?
Because I wanted to see what you was gonna say. I wanted to see if it was going to be based off the Torah or based off the rules of the white devil.
Leading the witness.
And you told us it's going to be rules of the white devil because their rules are not Torah based.
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
So if we want to be accepted in Israel, the way that you're accepted in Israel, for Rudy Rockman to accept us the way that you are accepted by him, he has to.
His acceptance.
No. I'm not saying we do need it. That's why I said we don't give a damn.
Why you bring him up?
Brother, it was because I've done a class on Rudy and I proved that he's just a culture vulture trying to teach black people that he could prove historically are the Israelites to be Jewish by the book of the white man and not the Torah that the Lord gave us. That's why.
Well,
so the point, if you let me finish, respectfully, if you let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
The point I'm making, right? I'm almost done. The point I'm making is that it makes no sense for us to keep what y'all want us to keep if the Bible says what we need to keep for us to be accepted back in the land, and what y'all are saying is extra steps, like aside from what the Bible says. If the Bible says we need to return back to the law by getting circumcised, start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, the holy days, right? It doesn't say anything about oral law because, as I said, even the linguistic scholars agree. I know the people in Jerusalem don't, because of the way they have to teach, them being the people not of the land. They have to make certain rules to keep other people that are of the land out of the land, right? So they have to teach you, no, stammering lips in another tongue doesn't mean that you can learn this in another language, like the Bible says. It means that you have to come to us to learn it the exact way that we want you to learn. It's about laughter, right? Ha, 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 ha. Laughing to the bank while you pay us to teach you these classes to learn this, that, and the third, right? So that's the only laughter that takes place. The same, no, brother, I have a lot of money. You don't know nothing about my financial situation. Don't do that. So
you just brought up your finance. You just brought up money as a.
I didn't say I don't have money. I said they're laughing to the bank charging you. I didn't even say nothing's wrong with charging you. I'm a salesman. I'm in sales.
Who's charging?
Nothing I said was wrong. I'm just saying aside from them making rules to a land that's not theirs. See,
who's charging whom? Now you speaking on things that you
hold on. So you went to school for free out there? Be honest with me. Don't lie in the Lord's land. You went to school for free, or you paid them to teach you?
Don't lie in the Lord. Don't lie in the Lord's land. What are you talking, bro?
Did you pay them to teach you the oral law and everything you know now, or did you do it?
Absolutely not.
So you know everything why? You learned was free, even
because it's a communal responsibility. That's how much we love each other. Now, if you have an institution, or if you're a part of, let's say, a court system, of course there's court fees. Why are there court fees? Because the court has to take care of the community.
Brother, you went there
if
for
I'm
school,
in a building,
right?
If I'm in a building, and we got to keep the lights on and keep the water running, we're paying for facilities, but are they running my pockets because they're teaching me? Of course not.
Okay, so paying for facilities is not what I'm talking about. You went there for school, right?
I went, but for lack of a better term, yeah, I came here to learn. Yes, correct.
Okay, so you came here to learn. So you're saying none of the learning that you did, you paid for. You're going to sit here and tell me that. It was a communal response.
I'm telling you that.
All of your learning was from community, nothing you went and paid for.
The only thing I had to pay for was to make sure that we were able to be fed, and to make sure that the lights were on and that the waters were running and that the bed stayed comfy. That is when I was in yeshiva That is when I was in yeshiva full time.
Bet. All right. Well, then I'm going to go to yeshiva. When I go to Israel, I'm going to get me a residency there in the green card, and I'm going to see if that's the truth. And I'm going to document
Brody, you can't come to a yeshiva unless you're a Jew.
I'm a Jew. I can prove that I'm from there. Year of return. By the law of return, I can prove based on the documents that they say. I've already looked it up. Everything they say that I need in order to return based on the law of return in Israel right now, I have.
Okay, well, let's let the state decide that. But also you have to remember that admission is based upon the individual institution. And if you're coming to study to prove the white devil,
I'm saying it wouldn't be based on the institution.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Let me finish what I'm saying. I'm going to get residency. I'm going to prove I'm a Jew and I'm going to convert.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. If you come in to prove that to prove not for self-betterment, but that the white devil is the white devil, my dear sir, you will be dealt with in accordance, not if, but when that is found out.
That wouldn't be anything I have to go there to prove, because I've already proved that here in America.
Well, then why would you even waste your time and money and come here?
Because that is land that I believe and I can prove actually belongs to my family, not the white devil that's pretending to be the Jew.
Well, sir,
so I have a right to the land. Who would you or any of them be to tell me I can't come back to something that the Bible says I could come back to anytime?
I'm the person who lives here. All of this, everything the light touches belongs to me. Everything. And it is my responsibility to keep it, and not just to keep it as a possession, but to keep it and to make sure that I keep myself in the process.
But the issue is you left it in the hands of people that aren't even in control of it spiritually. So the rules that they make up, as you said, are just rules of finance, money, and banking power. You mentioned that.
My friend, you in the grand scheme of things, and I'm not saying this to be mean, I'm saying it because it's the truth. In this equation, you're a nobody.
That's fine.
So you don't have you don't have the currency to make that. You can make that statement, but it doesn't hold any weight.
You can say that, but you don't know who I am related to or anything like that. You don't know what type of currency I have. You just know me as a black dude that's an Israelite in America.
You're part of a social club of other gentlemen who
I
believe that
started the
you all
social
have
club.
the
This
same.
is my social
You all,
club.
and
I'm a founder of the
congratulations,
Sons of Thunder too. So
Co-
I'm not in the social
congratulations,
club. I'm the boss.
congratulations. So you started a social club
If that's
with
what you want to call it. Yeah.
other gentlemen
Uh-huh.
that have the same religious and social scruples as you do.
Uh-huh.
Congratulations, congratulations.
That's the same thing y'all did in Israel. Y'all started a social club, had the money and power to make it a nation state, even though there's people bombing you every day that don't agree with it, right? And you basically just put on a bunch of yarmulkes, grew your hair out to make curly fries because you can't do what the black folks can do. Well, you can, but they can't. I'm saying you because you keep saying we as if you're one of them. So you,
I am, and
yeah,
I know that hurts your
clearly.
feelings.
So no,
That
it
we
don't
have
hurt my feelings at all. I'm
that
not
we have
Tazariak
homogeny.
Asai. It don't make me feel no type of way because I'm comfortable with who I am.
well,
You could be
you don't
comfortable with
sound
who you are. Right?
you don't sound happy. You don't
What
sound
in the
happy
world?
about it. I don't know.
That's weird. But
Well,
yeah.
you don't sound happy about it. But look, it's been real. But I got to shake because we're getting ready to leave.
No, I feel you. Yeah. Do you think? I actually yeah, you can put that back, bro. Just take it down. Y'all touching stuff. Y'all doing too much. So but I appreciate the conversation, brother, regardless of
No problem.
any disagreements. You know what I'm saying? I actually wouldn't mind having you back on and talk about other stuff. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you would like it, but I I actually don't have a problem with you. You know what I'm saying? So think you're a very astute brother. And I hope you have a successful time out there in Israel.
Thank you so much. You don't have a problem with me, but you got a problem with my people, which means that you actually do have a problem with me.
I never said I have a problem with your people. I have a problem with us being able to prove that they're not the actual people of the land. I have no problem with conversions because eventually, according to what I believe, New Testament included, there's going to be a mass conversion at the end of the day. Isaiah talks explicitly about that. So I have no problem with conversions. That never was anything I said that never came out of my mouth. So white people following the Bible, whether they be Christians, Jewish, Arab people following the Bible and the Torah, I got no problem with that because that was the original plan in the beginning for everybody eventually to come under the tutelage of the Israelites and keep the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave them to administer to the rest of the planet. So I have no problem with that. I never had a problem with that. What I have a problem with, and what I think a lot of the Israelites have a problem with that gets misconstrued in the way that things are taught sometimes, right? When it comes to us explaining the devil and all that type of stuff. What I don't like is the fact that there's been a whole identity switch, which a lot of them have also been able to admit to, but the people
Don't you?
in
Why you sound? Don't
power
sound. Don't
seem
hit me.
to
Don't hit me
not
with that. Don't hit
want
me.
to, the people in power seem to not want to admit to it and make it seem as if there's nobody else that can be a Jew. And
Somebody
that's
took you.
what we don't like.
Somebody took your spiritual lunch money. I don't want to hear that
No, it's
victim
never
nonsense
happened to
from
me.
you.
Like I said, I'm respected amongst Jewish people that know me out here in Atlanta and stuff like that in Tennessee. I don't know nobody in Israel except Harry. He knows me. You can ask him about me if you know him. I've had conversations with him and stuff like that.
I wouldn't ask
But
that man for directions if I was lost.
well, yeah, I'm sure because of the community and part you assigned to, and the fact that he said that all of us are actually the Israelites. A lot of y'all don't like him out there, but he's
It's
still a
because it's
practicing.
because of, it's because of it's because of personal conduct.
Okay, but well, regardless of his personal conduct, I know the mass majority of the Jewish people out there that don't like him simply don't like him because his personal conduct at a certain Jewish event where he went up on stage and admitted that the so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American people
Ain't
can
nobody
prove that they are Israelites.
ain't nobody coming to see Otis. Ain't nobody coming to see Otis. He can get up there and tell it from the mountain and say all that. That's cool. Everybody's got an opinion. You've got your opinion. I have my facts. And
It's
just
funny
because a
that what you
person
said
has
is facts and what I said is opinion, but I'm the one that got all the documents in the databases that y'all can't get to.
cool, cool, cool.
So I
It's
mean,
still
if I
this.
could prove that your rabbi ain't actually Jewish, he just has converted, then it's like I'm actually the one telling the truth. You're just swayed by the people you went to go learn from.
I mean, but you don't even know who my rabbinical figures are, and it really doesn't matter because you'll probably
I
never
know it ain't
meet
a
them.
black guy.
Why would it be? Does it have to be?
No, I mean it should. If you're gonna be a real Israelite, it should be a black
It
Hispanic and Native
should. It
American, or a black Yemenite, or an Igbo, or a person of the Limba tribe, right? One of those people that moved to Israel, I would have no problem with.
how
But there's a
old are
lot of
you,
them
my
out there.
friend?
right? There's even
How
some of
old are
us
you?
in
How old are you?
Turkey. I'm 30.
Okay. Because I'm gonna tell you something, then I gotta go. I've been having this conversation since I was a young man, since I was 13 years old.
Mhm.
I'm 38 now,
Mhm.
and there has been no progression in this conversation on your side of the line. And that goes with all of the social clubs that believe that they're Jews. And
I think you
also
think it's
that
no
maybe
progression simply
hold on,
because we're
please.
not
Hold on,
doing what
please.
your masters want us to do.
No, 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 no. There's no progression in the information that you are presenting, and there's no progression in the spiritual maturity of what you wish to
No
acquire.
progression
And
in information.
also,
Do y'all have any
and also,
Danites in Jerusalem?
and
I know
also,
for
because
a
I do
fact
have
it's
to go,
documented that you don't.
because I do have to go, and also you got to keep in mind
So if I found
there
Danites,
are
that means that we're bringing information to the light that actually is progressive and
there,
actually
there
is information
are
that you need if you're trying to find eternal power.
there are people who identify themselves as national socialists
Mhm.
who believe the exact same thing that you believe.
And
They
there's
just put a
people that
white face on
identify
it.
themselves with Jewish that do exactly what you do and have taught you that the world can prove don't belong to that land. So when
That's
Christ
fine.
comes that you don't believe in, when he comes and that place is the first place to get destroyed, like it says in Ezekiel and Isaiah, and you see that black man come from the sky, right, in a chariot, not a horse, but what they call a spaceship, a UFO, right? When you see him pull up and hop out that thing and start killing all your white masters and stuff, and then he looks at you and you go, damn, they was right, and then he cuts your head off too. I want you to remember this moment. And
Bro,
in the resurrection that you also don't believe in, when he
the
plays this
escapism is
back, I
wild.
want you to remember this YouTube moment.
The escapism is wild.
Ain't no
It's
escapism, brother.
wild. It's wild.
Ain't no escapism. It's called
UFOs.
prophecy.
You know what? If we do a part two, we're gonna call it UFOs and Afros.
That's fine. I
Is
like that.
UFOs and Afros
UFOs and Afros.
is
Part 2 with a Jewish
Yashahaka
man.
is Yashakaka coming back.
Yashikakaka. Y'all heard that? He's even making fun of the name. He don't speak Paleo Hebrew or Old Canaanite because none of his masters do because they weren't in the land. So the fact that it's an actual language, Old Canaanite, that none of them speak, and he wouldn't know how to pronounce any of the words, he could actually be trying to make fun of the real name of the place they call Israel. But that's cool. I'll leave that there.
You call Israel? What do you call Israel?
Hey,
How do you pronounce it?
it's
How do you
it's
pronounce it?
against our tradition to teach a Jewish person the laws and names and the Lashon Kodash of the Israelites.
I asked you about pronunciation, so it's against your tradition to teach the correct
There
pronunciation
was
of a
one
word.
word you couldn't tell me earlier in the Torah I was asking for. You
No,
said
no,
you
no,
couldn't
no,
teach
no,
me
no, no,
Torah?
no. No, I said I can't teach you the finer points of Torah. If you would just want to like discuss what a word means, then that's cool. But I'm asking you,
All right, we call
how
it
do you?
Yasharallah.
Okay, do me a
Yasharal.
favor. Do me a favor. The next time we meet, I want you to go through the correspondence between Rabbi Akiva and Shimon Bar Kochba. I think his first name was Shimon. If you can find in any of their correspondence Yasha Allah, then name your price.
Wait, so you want me to look into the correspondence of people that don't speak Old Canaanite to see if they spoke Old Canaanite?
Rabbi Akiva. Do you know who Rabbi Akiva was?
Rabbi Akiva is not black.
Okay, yeah, it's bedtime. You gotta
So
go.
Rabbi Akiva wouldn't
You
have
gotta
been a
go.
person that spoke Old Canaanite. It's a
You
Levantine
gotta go.
language.
You gotta go, my friend, and I gotta go too. Afros and UFOs.
Afros and UFOs. All
Afros
right,
and
peace, brother.
UFOs. That's my sign off. Afros and UFOs.
That's a bet. Peace.
Bye.
All right. But the reason I said that, y'all, is because Old Canaanite, right? Old Canaanite is a language that was spoken by Levantine people. Historically, hieroglyphically, anthropologically, historically, linguistically. These are languages not spoken by white people. When Esau left, he did not speak past paleo, right? So when he went to the motherlands, he adopted the mother languages. He didn't keep paleo in the places he was going to. So if paleo was a place only spoken by Israelites, Canaanites, and Phoenicians, it's a Levantine language. We can prove that all three of those groups of people were originally black. He knows that he can't prove that those are the real Jews over there in the land, which is why when I started talking about facts as a historian, he couldn't say nothing. And no, guys, I ain't got no degree in anthropology and all that crap. I just be saying that because I know when I say that, they gonna act like they gonna stop acting like they know something. Because I know the things that I would know if I had a degree in anthropology and a PhD in history. I just don't have one on paper. But yeah, I've won all the debates, so I know all the terminology and all that type of stuff. And I know that it is what it is. So I fibbed on that one. Salakia. But I said that simply because I knew if I said it, he was going to shut the hell up and stop acting like he knew something I didn't, so that I could present information that I know he doesn't know, which was the Balfour Declaration information, right? So, and I've showed y'all that before. I've showed y'all how Chaim Weizmann, his ancestors, had that drawn up, which is why he was the man that was chosen to be the leader of the whole thing, right? It was basically like a presidency by bloodline, if you will, from the 1800s into 1945 for the Jewish people. And they all knew they were converts when they were in Germany, Russia, Poland, Bulgaria, in Czechoslovakia, and Ukraine. They all knew they were converts, right? But hey, bro. But the situation was the brother, like, he doesn't really seem to know that everything he learned there was just gatekeeping. What they teach you and what they teach people like Rudy Rockman to teach us when they come into contact with us is to gatekeep. It's an active gatekeeping, right? For people that took the land with money, power, and resources, as the brother admitted, right? He said, what's wrong with having money, power, and resources? Nothing's wrong with it if you're going to take your own shit. But if you're going to use your money, power, and resources to take other people's stuff, then that's a problem, right? And then if you're going to use your money, power, and resources to take other people's stuff and then pretend that you're those people, that's a bigger problem. And then if you're going to take other people's stuff, pretend that you're those people, and then give them rules that weren't even the rules that those people invented for them to get back into the land, that's the third and biggest problem. And that's what they've done. They've casted lots of the Most High's land, and then they've added laws to the Bible in the Torah for people to reattach themselves to the land that the Bible never said they had to get or to use or to go through. So that's the reason why I wanted to have that brother on the conversation and stuff like that. I was going to ask him about Christ, but it was like, I got all these other questions I could ask him. We already know he doesn't believe in Christ. Why would I sit here and try to make him believe that Christ is in the Bible? He's just going to ask me questions like he did before. When I brought up David. Oh, so he doesn't tell you who his Lord is, but you're automatically going to assume it's Christ. That's always a tactic and a thing that they're going to go to because that's what they do, right? They go to that type of stuff to try to cop out. He made it seem like we were running escapism and stuff, but that's the escapism that they had. They never meet a question head on, right? Notice he didn't even let me finish what I was saying because he knew that it was going to end with, why would we, go through learning what y'all want us to do when what y'all want us to do isn't even in the Bible, and we can prove that y'all aren't the people that wrote the Bible. You're not the people that originally were in the land. Why would we listen to you as to what to convert to or what to do to come back to the land? Why would we convert to what you want us to convert to? That's just like being Americans. In order to come to America, you got to do what Donald Trump wants you to do. Well, in order to go to Israel, we have to do what Netanyahu wants us to do in the rabbis. But what they want us to do is not what they want us to do isn't written in the Torah. So I thought y'all was a nation state based on the Torah, a rabbinical nation state, a Jewish nation state. It's supposed to be based off the Bible. Right? Torah, Tanakh, if you don't want to add the Gospels. But a lot of your rules are that Nikut and all that crap they was talking about. That's not in the Torah. That's stuff that they made up and then made rules that people have to follow that are there. The Kabbalah, the Nikut, the Talmud, Those are not things that we're supposed to follow as just people that are trying to do what Moses told us to do. If you don't believe in Christ, ain't nothing documented where Ezra is doing oral tradition. He rewrote the whole book. In none of his books do we see Ezra singing stuff like the Muslims do. But we got a book of Psalms. You can sing those in Hebrew. You got Proverbs. You can sing that in Hebrew. But there's no read this orally other than some of the Psalms. Right? So that's the point. So it's like we have things that we would consider oral tradition if we were in control, but then they have things that they consider oral tradition because they're in control that aren't the things we would consider oral tradition. It's not the Psalms. It's not things that would give us power. It's things that would give them power, because the things that give them power didn't come from God. It's not in the Torah. It didn't come from Moshe. Right? Moses. Masha. Right? So he's sitting here talking about the Paleo Hebrew, and that's the thing I laugh. I love to have that conversation with people because it is a real language. It's Old Canaanite. So just because you can't Google Lashawan Kodash and it give you a real answer all the time, you can look up Old Canaanite and you're going to see the same characters that we use for the Lashawan Kodash. So it's a real language that people really spoke. It's not something that elders from One West made up. There's a grammar system for it and language systems for it, right? And the thing is, something that I wanted to point out in this conversation, the reason a lot of our people in this community hesitate from learning contemporary Hebrew is because there's rules in the Paleo that aren't in the contemporary Hebrew. So the question you have to ask yourself is, are the rules that we have in contemporary Hebrew even rules for Hebrew for real? Or are they rules that them crackers made up when they came over there? Because as I told you, it's a documented fact that they didn't speak Yiddish when they were in Germany. They spoke German. They didn't speak Yiddish when they were in Russia. They spoke Russian. So it's like they spoke Czech when they were in Ukraine and Czechoslovakia. They spoke Bulgar when they were in Bulgaria. Like, they spoke these languages. They didn't speak Hebrew or Yiddish. They were taught those things when they put their name on the dotted line to sign up to be moved over via the Balfour Declaration and be a part of this people that are going to pretend to be Jewish. It was first given to the Anne Frank folks in Germany. Then it spread to Russia. Then it spread to Poland. Then it spread to Bulgaria and Czechoslovakia and Ukraine and so on and so forth, until all of them end up in our land. This is an historically documented fact. Canary Missions is going to say it's not, but it is. Put it in writing, you duck monkey. So that's what it is, bruh. And be ready for the lawsuit too. Canary Missions is coming. But yeah, so that's the whole thing that we got to understand about that, right? Like there's a certain situation that our people in that folks aren't acknowledging, and that junk really gets on my nerves. And when you're like that, brother, and you think everything the white man does is right, he can't do no wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because he talked to you about, I tried to see, like, check his temperature at the beginning, ask him about racism. He didn't even want to talk about bad experiences he's had with white people. Because the best way for him to live in peace amongst the enemy is to become the enemy. He has to envy his oppressor and choose all of his ways. He talked about us being jealous, but he became a freaking white Jew because he was jealous of the way that they worship. Because he didn't do enough research to find out they're not even worshiping right. They're not the real people. There's no yarmulke in the Torah. There's a garment for the rabbi or the moreh to wear. It outlines it and specifies it. Notice how I said, I ain't got a yarmulke, I got a diadem. He didn't say nothing about that because you can't. You can't. But there's nobody in Israel that got diadems. Because they can't. It ain't for them. Them. So it's like, that's the thing you got to understand. They know that there's things that they can't partake in and things that they're not even going to add on to and try to do. That's why they don't say the Most High's name, because they know that they need to leave it at Hashem. Certain things they not going to say because what? They know they're not the people of the land. They know there's certain judgments that are coming upon them. It's just because of money, power, and influence, they're able to have a good time for now. Enjoy heaven, as this is their heaven. But as it says in the Bible, and as will be with heaven for a time, right? Because when you read the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7, you read that in the Good News translation. We read it to y'all. It explains it pretty vividly. The way it explains it there, everything ain't going to be right away. Bang, bang, boom, bow. So it's like, there's things that are going to happen to that nation, especially when Christ get back. And after he leaves, brothers like that ain't going to exist no more. That's what's crazy. After Christ leaves Jerusalem to come to America, is what I mean by leaves. I don't mean like leaves the scene. When he leaves Jerusalem to come to America, ain't gonna be brothers like him no more in Jerusalem. They're gonna be dead. You know what I'm saying? And I think that Prophet's verse the pancakes. Yeah, that's probably a better name. You know what I'm saying? But hey, afros and what do you say? Bros and afros or something? I don't remember. I wasn't really listening. I just thought it was funny. But like brothers like that, they don't realize the error they've made by following their oppressor in the way that they had. UFO and Afro. Yeah, that's crazy. But and then the UFO thing, he thought it was like escapism and fanatics and stuff like that. I know it probably sounds crazy to a dude that don't read the Bible for real, which he clearly doesn't, because he seems more locked into the oral tradition. Just like the Christians, the oral traditions of the Tanakh, of the Jewish people, Salakia, are not in the Tanakh or the Torah. Their oral traditions are not biblical oral traditions. It's not them reading the Quran like the Muslims do in a song. It's things that aren't on paper that they read, that some white rabbi made. It's like certain prayers, like, oh God, our Father, bless us and bless the church and the house of books and and the lighter and the man playing the drums. And then they all sing it in Hebrew. Like that's what they would be doing in the synagogue on their knees with a shawl over their head. That's what he's finna go do right now. Y'all saw the sun come up on the video, right? So that's what he about to go do on the video, right? He about to go do oral prayer with the Chinese people and the Muslim people and the white people, and he gonna be on the ground with them. Lord, bless the plates and the food and the crab cakes, because they probably got some crab cakes. They have the biggest gay parade in the world, so I wouldn't imagine, even though he was trying to make it sound like they these big holy people that love the Lord, they got the biggest gay parade in that same land that he was living in, showing and panning the camera, you know what I'm saying, trying to show us he lives there, and it's his responsibility to make sure nothing bad happens to it, and he's letting them crackers be gay all over the place. And you heard what he said. He don't care because he's in the gym lifting his own weights. He ain't looking at nobody else in the gym. But he ain't with us shooting in the gym. He's by himself in the basketball court that's away from the basketball court that everybody else is on. He's on the one with all the lights off, right? At the LA Fitness that's shut down. And he's out there just playing by himself in the dark. That's what that nigga's doing. And every now and then, it might be a white guy that walks in there. That's his people. People he meets that he comes into contact with that he's now cool with-ish. Said he knows Rudy, but then he told us he's not cool with anybody. He just knows people. So maybe he's just an acquaintance of Rudy. But it's like, I can tell the way he acts. He's from Detroit. So depending on where in Detroit he's from, it could be possible he didn't experience a whole lot of racism, right? Then he gets to Israel. He just heard things about white people. Didn't really have too many bad experiences because it's still Detroit. So there's a lot of white people that love black people up there too. And then he gets to Israel. And because he's trying to convert, and he's a novice when he gets there, so he knows nothing. He's doing everything they tell him to do. They're going to take respect in that, especially if he's going 13 years ago where they already know about the Israelites. So when they see a black guy, it's like, oh, you're one of the good ones. You know what I'm saying? So he goes during that time. Feel me? He went to Israel 3 years before I came into the truth. Almost 2, because my anniversary will be in November. Well, that's my anniversary of joining the camp. I was in the truth before that. I counted when I joined the camp. So, but yeah, so like, that's what it is. So we already know. We're already on YouTube. They know about us. We're having debates. Harry Rosenberg, who they didn't think was a, he don't want to call the redhead mug a Jew now, right? Yeah. And y'all see how that works, right? He's in a situation where, like, okay, this white dude tells all of them that we are actually the Jews. You hear the guy fall out the chair, drop all his books in the middle of the meeting. You hear the door opening and closing because people are like, man, screw this. I ain't even gonna listen to this no more. And then now all of a sudden, he's got bad conduct. He's not somebody that we want out here anymore representing us. But they were sending him to do all the dang debates with us and stuff like that. So he's like the frowned on stepchild because he lost the debates and then had to admit that we are the Israelites in front of all of y'all. Yeah, so we're a social club. That's what we're like we're the Masons. We're fraternity. We're a social club. That's what he wanted us to, that's what they want to call us, right? So y'all see that's how it is. There's no legitimacy to our movement, even though there's a bunch of Jewish elders and rabbis and mores that admit that we are Israelites. There's no legitimacy to our movement. And it's a social club. So throws his wrist across his legs and hollers tendonism. Tendonism! Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, bro. That's all I got for y'all today, man. I'm finna go eat. So hope y'all enjoyed the class. We'll probably do a reaction to this just so I can walk through everything. But now y'all see what it's like in the brain of a black Jewish guy. I mean, they don't see themselves as different from the Jewish people. They can so much as admit that those people aren't real Jews, but the fact that they converted is all that matters. They're not smart enough to realize that if they are converts and you can acknowledge that they're converts, how can you be sure that they're even teaching you real laws? Why would you trust them so much? Those thoughts don't go through their head. In fact, it doesn't matter. So if you bring it up, it will go in the ear, probably out the nose in one nostril, back in the other nostril as they inhale, and then out the other ear. Straight smoke. So that's what I get from every single conversation we've had like that. He said he's been doing this for 13 years and there's no growth from our side. There's been a lot of growth from our side because we keep finding out more and more stuff about niggas like him. You feel me? They don't ever find out more about us. Sometimes it'll surprise them when I lie and make it seem like I don't like the white man. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem telling that nigga no lies either because he is not a nigga. He's not a brother. He is a Yehudim, right? He's Jewish. He told you that. He has denounced Detroit. So, yeah, question marks in the thumbnail was a point, Cat. Yeah, you're right. I ain't even, you know what I'm saying? The only reason I said that is because I thought he was going to get mad about the question marks because he seemed like he was an anal type of brother, but he wasn't that anal. So he didn't say nothing about the question marks in the thumbnail, but I thought he was. But I knew it was going to give him a certain type of notion about me that I didn't want him to have. I wanted him to think I was like GOCC almost. That's why I was trying to be nice till I felt like, actually, I don't give a damn about them crackers. But I didn't really have to get that way all the way. I kind of let him know, but I could still keep it cordial, which was cool. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see, I've been working a little bit. I've been trying to not cuss niggas out and stuff when I have them on camera. So I think I did pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so, but that's all I got, bro. You know what I'm saying? It was cool. I mean, he was anal in defending his brethren. We are not his brethren. They are his brethren. And that's who he was defending. So, you know, he would lay down his life for his friend. And I don't got no problem with that. He's following Christ and don't even know it. So I don't got no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? That's what's crazy. He don't believe in Christ. He told us we shouldn't believe in Christ. But Christ is who's going to kill his ass in the end. Hallelujah. Because since I'm a Christian, that's what he called. Hallelujah. Yeah. So, all right. Praise the Lord. Hey, Nadia, do the hand clap. I'm going to clap my hands till he do it. I don't even know if he's listening. Hey. All right, I'm done, y'all. But hope y'all enjoyed the class. I appreciate everybody coming in the building. If y'all haven't liked the video already, please like the video. If you haven't shared it yet, share it. We don't get no hype button. So do something to help the channel out, especially if you rock with us and you watch us every week. Give us something to give to the other people. I think this was a pretty good class, pretty educational. Y'all learned that it ain't just white people and niggas like him and them people in Demona that live out there. It's a bunch of other niggas too. Sanjay live out there and he's making houses like Jose. You know what I'm saying? And niggas like him is still the first hired, last fired. But and the white man still rule the world over there. But other than that, there's other things that's similar to America, like Sanjay getting work still. They probably own a couple gas stations. Chinese man is still running the stock market over there in Israel. And they get some oil. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, you know, and then they got the Arabs, too. You know what I'm saying? They Muslim. They don't get along, but, you know, a little more conflict between them and us. But, yeah, you know, it's kind of a melting pot, if you will, in Israel. So the times of the northern kingdom and the times of Christ, with there being an infected Samaria, only Jerusalem is even more infected now, too. Not just with crackers, but with everybody. We're still there. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. I think that was cool that y'all got to see that and hear that firsthand. And you got to see what it's like to be a black guy in Jerusalem. If you're not with our elders or you're not with the people in Demona, some of which are connected still to our elders, you could either be a black Christian or you could be that nigga and shine. And that fat dude that wear the little top hat, the rapper, I don't know his name. But you could be all them guys. So, yeah, choose wisely. That's all I got now, y'all. I ain't going to read it, but y'all know the rule, Daniel 7:18. You know what I'm saying? Tat it on your chest spiritually. But, yeah, that's it, bro. Hope you enjoyed the class. Enjoy your night. Shalom.
This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black thoughts, black Jesus, black music, black music, black music, black music, black music.